Chapter 28-21. Jiyu Fei released the news to let everyone think that he was injured during the battle with the mysterious creature. He wanted to see who exactly wanted his life. He had many enemies: the Dongfang clan, the Western Buddhist sect, the demons, the Heavenly Realm's ancient Heavenly Emperor, and many others. There were definitely many people who wanted his life. Jiyu Fei had no enmity with the mysterious creature, so there was only one possibility. Someone had invited the mysterious creature to kill him. At this time, the news of Jiyu Fei's injuries had already spread throughout the entire Wanxiang city. There were many spies arranged by the great sects and clans in the city. Very quickly, the news spread to the great sects and clans. Some were happy, some were worried. Those who had enmity with Jiyu Fei were naturally happy, while those who were on good terms with Jiyu Fei were worried for Jiyu Fei. The battle in the starry sky caused a huge commotion, but no one knew the result of the battle. This was because the two powerhouses fighting in the starry sky were both kings among the heavenly sovereigns. The battle between heavenly sovereigns was earth-shattering. Even other heavenly sovereigns would find it hard to sense the situation of the battle. No one knew whether the mysterious creature that sought Jiyu Fei was killed by Jiyu Fei or not. However, many people saw Jiyu Fei vomiting blood when he returned to Wanxiang City. With Jiyu Fei's current cultivation, it was very easy for him to pretend to vomit blood. However, someone was very cautious and wanted to use others to probe Jiyu Fei. On a dark and windy night, a demonic figure appeared on a mountain peak outside of Wanxiang City. It was a blood-red-haired youth with demonic energy lingering around his body. It was as if a demon lord had descended, giving people a feeling of extreme power. This demon did not hide his presence and purposely released a powerful demonic aura. Demon. In the main hall of Wanxiang City's City Lord Mansion, Jiyu Fei, who was sitting on the throne, suddenly opened his eyes. He did not expect the demons to be the first to jump out. "Master, let this disciple deal with this demon." Jiyu Zhong walked out from the throne and bowed to Jiyu Fei. "Very well, go ahead." Jiyu Fei nodded. He knew very well about Jiyu Zhong's cultivation. He was a peak saint ruler, so even if the opponent was a saint king, his disciple would be able to contend against them. Jiyu Zhong was overjoyed and immediately accepted the order before turning around and walking out of the hall. Shua. After exiting the palace, Jiyu Zhong took a step forward and disappeared from the entrance of the palace. In the next instant, he appeared on the mountain peak outside Wanxiang City. So fast. On the mountain peak, the crimson-haired youth stared at Jiyu Zhong and said coldly. His blood-red eyes narrowed when Jiyu Zhong appeared. Humph. Jiyu Zhong looked at the demon in front of him with a solemn expression, but he did not say anything. "You're no match for me. Go back and call your master," the crimson-haired youth said disdainfully. It was as if he did not take Jiyu Zhong seriously at all and felt that it was beneath him to fight Jiyu Zhong. "What a big tone. It's really stinky," Jiyu Zhong said as he waved his hand in front of his nose. "Since you want to die, I'll grant your wish." The crimson-haired youth's face darkened. In the next moment, he exerted force with his right foot and disappeared from where he stood. Almost at the same time, Jiyu Zhong spread his legs and lowered his waist into a horse stance. He punched forward with his right fist. The moment he punched out, he gathered all his power into his fist. Boom! With a loud sound, the two fists collided. The crimson-haired youth who had disappeared instantly appeared before Jiyu Zhong. Rumble! The entire mountain began to shake. Countless rocks rolled down from the mountain and hideous cracks appeared on the mountain, as if it could collapse at any time. Two extremely powerful fists collided with each other. Two extremely powerful forces collided with each other. The vast and mighty energy waves spread out, shaking the heavens and the earth. Roar! Jiyu Zhong bellowed in rage. An even more powerful metal elemental energy erupted from his body. His right arm trembled, and a powerful fist force erupted in an instant. The crimson-haired youth snorted and exerted his strength at the same time. A hideous and terrifying shadow of a demonic dragon emerged from his body and a powerful demonic force erupted from his fist. Boom! With a loud sound, the mountain under the feet of the two experts finally collapsed. The two figures quickly separated and immediately charged at each other. The two figures moved quickly in the void and fought fiercely. The entire void was shaking and a powerful pressure of a sage ruler spread from Ji Yuzhong's body. He seemed to have turned into a golden god of war. His body emitted a dazzling golden radiance that lit up the entire night sky. On the other hand, the crimson-haired youth's demonic chi soared into the sky. He was like a peerless demon that could cause chaos in the world. He displayed an extremely powerful combat strength and fought with Ji Yuzhong. At this moment, all the cultivators in the Wanxiang city were alarmed. Many cultivators flew into the sky from the Wanxiang city to watch the battle. As for those cultivators who could not fly in the sky, they quickly ran to the top of the Wanxiang city's city wall. Demons are attacking again. Someone noticed that the demonic chi in the sky was soaring and could not help but be shocked. Is Ji Yuzhong and the others fighting against the invading demons? On the top of the city wall, the cultivators were discussing in low voices while they were shocked. In the sky in front of them, within the demonic chi, there would be dazzling golden radiance piercing through from time to time. The powerful metal elemental power rippled in all directions. It's the demons again. At this moment, the three sages of heaven, earth and human had also arrived in the sky above the Wanxiang city. Lord Ji Yuzhong's cultivation has increased by quite a bit. People who once followed the human sovereign for a period of time are indeed different. Heaven's sage Du Yu said enviously. One must know that the human sovereign was an invincible expert in the world. It was no wonder that others would be envious and jealous of Ji Yuzhong for being able to receive his guidance. Who do you think will win this battle? Earth sage Li Hong said. His body was faintly surrounded by lightning. When he opened and closed his eyes, there seemed to be lightning flashing in them. He was a thunder sage. It's hard to say. Human sage Lu Tianxiong said. Ji Yuzhong was a martial sage king. His combat strength was so strong that it could not be measured by ordinary standards. One must know that it was not a legend that a martial artist could reign supreme in the same realm. That red-haired demon should be a sage emperor. He seems to be stronger than the true demons that attacked us previously. Human sage Lu Tianxiong continued. Even if Lord Ji Yuzhong cannot win, he will be able to escape unscathed. Iron Blood Daoist arrived in the sky and said indifferently, "This is an evenly matched battle." Chapter 28-22. Ji Yuzhong joined the battle against the red-haired great demon in the mountains outside of Wanxiang city. The mighty energy fluctuations caused the entire mountain range to tremble. Mountains collapsed one after another. Golden radiance and monstrous demonic chi filled the sky. The two experts fought fiercely, wanting to turn the other into dregs. Humans and demons had been mortal enemies since ancient times. The battle between Ji Yuzhong and the red-haired great demon would determine the victor and determine life and death. Even the other great sects and clans in the eastern region were alarmed by this battle, especially those who had a grudge against Ji Yufei. They even appeared near Wanxiang city, spying on the city's movements. Ji Yufei actually didn't take action personally. Could it be that he's really injured? On a cloud thousands of miles away from Wanxiang city stood a white-robed old man. This person was the Dongfang clan elder who had suffered a great loss under Ji Yufei's hands and fled back to the Dongfang clan's ancestral land in a sorry state. Why did the demons of the Eastern Domain know that Ji Yufei was injured so quickly? It was because this old man had deliberately leaked the news to the Eastern Domain. In order to take revenge on Ji Yufei, this guy didn't care about anything else. One had to know that humans and demons were mortal enemies. Helping the demons to suppress the human race was the act of a traitor. For the sake of righteousness, such an act was punishable by death. Therefore, this Dongfang clan elder was very careful. At this time, this Dongfang clan elder was bewildered. He had always been careful, otherwise, he wouldn't have lived to this day. He didn't dare to act blindly without thinking. In the mountains, the battle between Ji Yuzhong and the red-haired great demon had reached its climax. Ji Yuzhong attacked with all his strength. His fists shattered the void as he kept clashing with the red-haired great demon. The battle power of the martial body was released. 9 golden Dao runes appeared on Ji Yuzhong's golden muscles, activating the power of a saint ruler. "I've underestimated you," the red-haired great demon said coldly while attacking. "Mph, you overestimated yourself," Ji Yuzhong said. He was incomparably domineering as he used the metal element fist. Although this battle skill was simple, it could transform something rotten into something magical. The combat strength it displayed was enough to shock the red-haired devil. Bang! Boom! Ji Yuzhong's fists continuously clashed with the red-haired demon's fists. Wild power continuously exploded outwards, destroying everything. The ground began to sink. "Let's see if your master can still sit still after I kill you." The red-haired great fiend grinned before spitting out a demon bead. Buzz! The demonic bead vibrated, and numerous demonic runes emerged and intertwined on its surface. An energy fluctuation so powerful that it caused all living beings in the world to tremble erupted from the demonic bead. Under the control of the red-haired fiend, the demon bead smashed towards Ji Yuzhong. A saint venerate demonic artifact. Ji Yuzhong was startled. He quickly retreated, but the devil bead followed him like a shadow. Everything in its path was obliterated. "You should be proud to die under my demon pearl of annihilation," the red-haired dire fiend said. Demon pearl of annihilation. Although Ji Yuzhong was shocked, he wasn't that nervous. This devil bead hadn't reached the level of annihilation. However, the destructive energy of a saint sovereign within the devil bead wasn't something he could deal with. Swish! He executed the 8 desolate steps, instantly evading the attack. However, the mountain behind him was directly smashed into smithereens by the devil bead. Crap! Ji Yuzhong was in danger. He didn't have any saint artifact on him that could contend against the devil bead. He was a martial artist, and in his opinion, the best weapon for a martial artist was their martial body. Since his martial body was the best weapon, Ji Yuzhong felt that there was no need for him to refine a saint artifact. His martial body was already many times stronger than ordinary saint artifacts. Bang! Ji Yuzhong was sent flying by the devil bead. Although he had grasped the 8 desolate steps technique, he was still struck by the devil bead. That devil bead wasn't very big, only the size of an adult's fist. However, the might it displayed was extremely powerful, capable of shattering the heavens and earth. It truly had the power to annihilate the world. A trail of blood seeped out from the corner of Ji Yuzhong's mouth. He was injured. The opponent was a Saint Sovereign level demon, and he also wielded a Saint Sovereign level world annihilation devil bead. Ji Yuzhong's defeat wasn't a coincidence. It was because he wasn't strong enough. Again, Ji Yuzhong roared as he charged at the red-haired demon. However, there was no longer any suspense. The red-haired demon was stronger than Ji Yuzhong. This was an undeniable fact. However, the red-haired demon wanted to thoroughly defeat Ji Yuzhong before killing him. Boom! With a loud explosion, Ji Yuzhong was sent flying thousands of feet away by the devil bead. He constantly coughed out blood. That devil bead had displayed the might of a Saint Sovereign level. Ji Yuzhong borrowed the rebounding force to instantly tear through the void and escape into Myriad Phenomenon City. When the red-haired demon saw this, it was too late for him to stop Ji Yuzhong. Ji Yuzhong was heavily injured, but his body's blood energy was incomparably vigorous. The wounds on his body were rapidly healing. Very quickly, his injuries were mostly healed. Ji Yufei, come out and fight if you have the guts. The red-haired demon shouted towards Myriad Phenomenon City. I'll deal with you. The Ironblood Daoist flipped his right hand and the Phoenix Tribulation immediately appeared in his hand. Then, he charged towards the figure above the mountain ridge. A phantom of a divine phoenix appeared on his body. Another one has come to die. The red-haired demon sneered. His eyes were filled with deep disdain. Mph, it's still uncertain who will come to die. The Ironblood Daoist snorted coldly. Kill. The blood-haired great demon roared angrily as he activated the devil bead and smashed it towards the Ironblood Daoist. Rumble. The moment the devil bead was smashed, the entire void trembled due to the existence of the devil bead. The black spatial cracks were like black lightning bolts. Foam woo. The Ironblood Daoist roared and immediately used the divine phoenix technique. 9 divine phoenix phantoms rushed out from the phoenix tribulation in his hand and pounced towards the devil bead. A shocking scene appeared. The 9 divine phoenixes appeared in the sky, as though they were fighting for a divine bead. The 9 divine phoenix phantoms collided with the devil bead. The explosion of destructive waves spread out. The entire mountain ridge was instantly razed to the ground. The mountain peaks were like snow under the sun, turning into dust and eventually dissipating into the void. The red-haired demon was taken aback. This person was not simple. He was actually able to block the undying demon bead. The sacred weapon in this guy's hand must be extraordinary. Chapter 28-23. The battle in the mountains continued. The Ironblood Daoist took action and fought with the red-haired demon deep into the mountains. In the end, the 2 experts soared into the sky and battled in outer space. The destructive power of a battle between experts of this level was just too terrifying. A single strike was enough to destroy the world. The mountain ridges outside Wanxiang City had already been destroyed beyond recognition. The mountains collapsed and the earth caved in. Huge holes appeared in the void. Chaotic chi lingered in the pitch-black holes. The power of the laws of the world repaired the shattered void. However, it was unable to repair the void that had been shattered by the 2 experts in a short period of time. Many experts had come to the vicinity of Wanxiang City. They were all watching and paying close attention to the movements in Wanxiang City. Some experts directly soared into the sky and entered outer space to watch the battle. The elder of the Dongfang family also appeared in outer space. The Zhao family of the primordial antiquity had also come. A figure shrouded in divine light ascended into outer space and watched the battle from afar. A powerful aura spread out, causing the nearby stars to tremble. This was an extremely powerful existence. He was at least a saint emperor. Even in the Zhao family of the primordial antiquity, there weren't many people with such a cultivation. Ever since Jiyu Fei and the old turtle worked together to flatten the western netherworld sea, the Zhao family had sent many people into the heaven realm to search for the goddess of the Zhao family. The waters of the heaven realm were very deep. The entire northern snowy region was still in a state of fragmentation. It was the same even after the appearance of the heavenly palace of the snowy region. The Zhao family of the primordial antiquity did not obtain any benefits in the northern snowy region. Not only did they fail to find Zhao Ziru, they even lost a few experts and had no choice but to return in low spirits. At this time, the Zhao family naturally did not want to become enemies with Jiyu Fei. However, if Jiyu Fei was really as rumored and was heavily injured in the battle with the mysterious lifeform, it would be an opportunity for the Zhao family. Some people guessed that Jiyu Fei might really be injured. This was because when Jiyu Zhong fought with the red-haired demon, he was injured by the red-haired demon, but Jiyu Fei did not do anything. Of course, Jiyu Fei not making a move didn't mean that he was injured and couldn't make a move. Those who were enemies with Jiyu Fei were extremely shrewd. Even their eyelashes were empty. They would not jump out so easily. Those people were still spying in the dark. Rumble. The starry sky trembled. The Ironblood Daoist seemed to have transformed into a divine phoenix as he battled with the red-haired demon. The aura of the Supreme Emperor divine weapon spread out, and all the stars in the starry sky seemed to be falling down. The red-haired devil didn't dare to be careless. In his eyes, his opponent wasn't the Ironblood Daoist, but the Emperor armament in the Ironblood Daoist's hands, the Phoenix Tribulation. The Phoenix Tribulation was a divine weapon refined from the shed flesh shell of the ancient divine phoenix. It contained the power of the divine phoenix, and the 9 divine phoenix Tao patterns turned into 9 fire phoenixes that charged at the red-haired demon. Buzz. The void trembled. Ancient demonic patterns appeared in the demon bead of devastation in the red-haired demon's hand. 9 demonic patterns rushed out of the demon bead and transformed into 9 demonic dragons that charged forward, clashing with the 9 fire phoenixes. Without the Supreme Emperor divine weapon, you are nothing in my eyes, the red-haired demon said coldly. The red-haired demon said coldly. Blood-colored demonic runes intertwined in his eyes. A demonic aura that caused one's heart to palpitate emanated from his body. TCH, you are just a demon. Do you think you are the invincible demon ancestor? The Iron-Blood Daoist said disdainfully. At this moment, he had already fused with the Phoenix Tribulation. This was a mystique that could fuse weapons into one's body. It was imparted to him by Gu Fei. This mystique was definitely a killing technique for those cultivators who possessed incomparably powerful divine weapons. It was the same for the Iron-Blood Daoist. When one with the weapon, one could unleash the weapon's power to the extreme. Of course, because of the Iron-Blood Daoist's cultivation realm, it was difficult for him to unleash the true power of the Phoenix Tribulation. However, it was enough to deal with this demon. At this moment, in the void, phoenixes spread their wings and dragons soared into the 9 heavens. 9 fire phoenixes and 9 demonic dragons engaged in an intense battle. Everywhere they passed, stars exploded. It was incomparably terrifying. Boom! The starry sky trembled as one of the demonic dragons exploded. It was destroyed by the mighty divine phoenix true fire of a fire phoenix. The demonic patterns within it were directly obliterated by the divine phoenix true fire. The demonic dragons were definitely not a match for it. One must know that the Phoenix Tribulation was an Supreme Emperor divine weapon, the demon bead of devastation. Although its name was incomparably domineering, it was only a sacred venerable level demonic weapon. The remaining demonic dragons were also no match for the fire phoenixes. Their bodies were destroyed by the divine phoenix true fire, turning back into demonic chi. The demonic chi was also burned into green smoke by the divine phoenix true fire, dissipating into the void. The 9 fire phoenixes soared into the sky and instantly gathered. The 9 phoenixes fused into one, transforming into a mighty divine phoenix that was even larger than a mountain. Then, it pounced towards the red-haired demon. Boom! Boom! The divine phoenix flapped its wings, and monstrous true fire descended from the sky, burning towards the red-haired demon. Within the flames, one could vaguely see the shadows of divine phoenixes. Preposterous! The red-haired demon's heart trembled. The 9 demonic dragons formed by the demon bead of devastation were destroyed by the fire phoenixes. The 9 demonic patterns were also obliterated, and 9 cracks immediately appeared on the demon bead. This incomparably powerful demonic weapon was now damaged. Although it was not destroyed, its power was greatly reduced. Facing the mighty divine phoenix true fire that filled the sky, the red-haired demon could not help but change his expression. The power of an Supreme Emperor divine weapon was not to be underestimated. Roar! The red-haired demon roared to the sky. He was going all out. He had no choice but to do so. If he did not, he would die. An extremely powerful demonic power erupted from his body. In the next moment, the void around him collapsed, shattered, and was annihilated. A monstrous demonic fire erupted from his body, sweeping out and enveloping the entire starry sky. The 2 fiery powers instantly collided. Amidst the endless flames, stars exploded one after another. The true fire of the phoenix illuminated the entire starry sky. The demonic fire that erupted from the red-haired demon was not black. Instead, it was blue. This demonic fire burned the void and was annihilating it. How dare you act in front of me? Die! The Iron-Blood Daoist was like a true phoenix descending into the world. He set off monstrous true fire that burned the void. He directly pounced towards the red-haired demon in the midst of the demonic fire. The endless demonic fire disappeared. Under the mighty divine phoenix true fire of the Supreme Emperor divine weapon, the demonic fire of the red-haired demon was nothing. Boom! With a loud sound, a figure fell from the starry sky. In the starry sky, all the experts who witnessed this scene were shocked to the extreme. This Iron-Blood Daoist was too ferocious. He actually defeated a Saint Emperor-level demon. Chapter 28-24. The Iron-Blood Daoist was incomparably powerful. He actually blasted the red-haired demon down from outer space. Rumble! The towering true flames of the divine phoenix burned the demonic flames in the sky. The Iron-Blood Daoist was like an invincible phoenix that had descended from the heavens as he chased after the demon. Die! The Iron-Blood Daoist extended his right hand and 9 divine phoenix Dao patterns rushed out of his hand. They transformed into 9 divine chains that shot towards the red-haired demon that was falling from the sky. Everyone was stunned. No one had thought that the Ironblood Daoist would actually be able to defeat the red-haired demon. After all, the red-haired demon was a Saint Emperor, and a true demon at that. However, there were also people who could tell that this wasn't the Ironblood Daoist's battle prowess, but a manifestation of the Phoenix Tribulation's power. A few of the older antiques knew more or less about the Phoenix Tribulation's origins. The Ironblood Daoist had obtained the Undying Daoist's legacy. The Undying Daoist was a peerless expert that had attained the Tao of a divine phoenix. Clanging sounds rang out incessantly. The 9 divine chains flew over like divine rainbows, instantly catching up to the falling demon. Explode! The red-haired demon roared as a ball of demonic light flew out of his body. Then, just as the 9 divine chains were about to wrap around his body, it exploded. A supreme destructive force erupted. The 9 divine chains were actually shattered by the vast demonic power, turning into streaks of fiery light that dissipated into the void. The 9 divine Phoenix Daoist patterns were also dispersed. What? The Ironblood Daoist was extremely shocked. A terrifying destructive force swept up from below, sending him flying uncontrollably into the depths of the starry sky. The ball of demonic light instantly enveloped the entire sky. This was an incomparably terrifying destruction. The power of a Saint Venerate wreaked havoc mercilessly, as if a huge hole had suddenly appeared in the sky. Everyone was dumbfounded. Some of the spectators couldn't dodge in time and were instantly devoured by the exploding demonic light, dying in both body and soul. Those who were caught up in the blast were all unlucky emperors. They were just too unlucky. One had to know that those who could watch the battle from outer space were all saints. Even if they died like this, they would still be unlucky emperors. What a ruthless demon. The expert from the primordial Zhao family was also affected, but the destructive devil light couldn't harm him at all. Self-detonating a holy venerate-level demonic tool? In the depths of the starry sky, the Ironblood Daoist coughed out a mouthful of blood. This demon had actually self-destructed that so-called apocalyptic demon bead, a holy venerable-level demonic artifact. The explosion of such a powerful magic tool was naturally terrifying to the extreme. Rumble, the sky fell, and the earth cracked. Pitch-black spatial cracks extended for millions of miles. At this time, the entire sky above the eastern domain was in chaos. The entire sky seemed to be collapsing, and an enormous black hole appeared in the starry sky. Billions of living beings in the eastern domain trembled as if doomsday had truly arrived. Even those powerful cultivators were dumbfounded when they witnessed this scene. Even when Jiyu Fei was battling that mysterious creature, there wasn't such a massive and terrifying commotion. The laws of heaven and earth in this part of the world were disturbed. Trying to escape. At this moment, a ball of demonic light appeared beneath the gigantic black hole. The robed demonic diagram appeared in the void. That big demon wanted to make use of the formation to escape. However, the Ironblood Daoist wasn't going to let this guy escape just like that. Phoenix soars the 9 heavens, stars shift. The Ironblood Daoist roared out in rage. His entire body was glowing as though the heaven and earth had turned upside down. The void was distorting, and his figure disappeared from the void instantly, crossing the black hole before him. In the next moment, the Ironblood Daoist had already passed through the black hole. He tore through the void and appeared beside the demonic diagram in the sky. With a single punch, he sent the red-haired big demon, who had already stepped into the formation, flying out. The Ironblood Daoist slapped out with his palm, dispersing the demonic diagram. You! The red-haired big demon was both shocked and enraged. He hadn't expected that the other party would be able to kill his way to his side. How did he do it? You what? You want to escape? Have you asked me first? The Ironblood Daoist fused with the Phoenix Calamity. His entire aura became extremely powerful. He activated the power of the Phoenix Calamity and charged towards the red-haired big demon. This guy is dead for sure. There were many people standing on the city walls of Wanxiang City. Jiyu Zhong was also there. Although he was injured, his injuries were mostly healed after a short period of recuperation. To a martial artist, especially a martial artist who had achieved success in cultivation, the self-recovery ability of the martial body was extremely monstrous. Even if they didn't purposely circulate their energy to heal themselves, their injured bodies would automatically recover. Jiyu Zhong was a martial saint king. His martial body had already been cultivated to an almost indestructible level. At this moment, the heaven, earth, and human saints couldn't help but admire the Ironblood Daoist. He had challenged a Saint Emperor-level demon. Even with the help of the Phoenix Calamity, such courage and guts were worthy of admiration. There was no suspense in what happened next. The red-haired big demon had lost the demon pearl of devastation and was even less of a match for the Ironblood Daoist. Very soon, the red-haired big demon's body exploded from the Ironblood Daoist's punch. He turned into a black bloody mist and dissipated in the void. Within the bloody mist, a beam of demonic light shot into the sky. Within the demonic light was a demonic figure that was about to escape. Clang! With the sound of a sword, a beam of sword light shot into the sky from the Ironblood Daoist's hand. In an instant, it soared tens of thousands of meters and destroyed the figure in the demonic light. The expressions of the experts who were watching the battle from afar changed when they saw this. The beam of sword light from the Ironblood Daoist's hand dissipated and turned into a golden feather. It floated down from the sky and was caught by the Ironblood Daoist. The true feather of the divine phoenix. I didn't think he would have such a good item. The elder of the Dongfang family muttered to himself in the distance. Then, he turned around and left. The true feather of the divine phoenix was naturally a feather from the divine phoenix. However, this feather was different. It was a divine feather from the head of a true phoenix. It contained the essence of a true phoenix and was extremely powerful. After the battle ended, the Ironblood Daoist returned to Wanxiang City. They only sent a heavenly emperor-level demon to force me to take action. They are underestimating me too much. In the main hall of the Wanxiang City's City Lord residence, Jiyu Fei muttered to himself. He knew who was hostile towards him. He was waiting for those people to make a move. Only then would he have a justifiable reason to make a move. He couldn't go back on his words. Since he had promised Ghost Emperor Fengju, he couldn't casually make a move. My lord, the Ironblood Daoist came to greet Jiyu Fei. You did well. Go and treat your injuries for now. Jiyu Fei took out a jade bottle and threw it to the Ironblood Daoist. Yes. The Ironblood Daoist caught the jade bottle and left. I want to see how long those guys can endure. Chapter 28-25. The death of the red-haired demon shocked all the experts who were watching the battle secretly. They did not expect the Ironblood Daoist to be so powerful. After this battle, all the experts could not help but look at the Ironblood Daoist in a different light. It would be difficult to force Jiyu Fei to make a move. After the battle between the Ironblood Daoist and the red-haired demon, the area around Wanxiang City calmed down. All the experts retreated, leaving only a few spies to continue monitoring Wanxiang City. Ridiculous. I can't even force Jiyu Fei to make a move. I wonder if that guy is injured. In the ancestral land of the Dongfang family, a dissatisfied voice was heard from a pavilion. In the ancestral land of the Zhao clan of the desolate antiquity, there was a god sitting in a cave. This god was surrounded by golden light. Within the sword light, there were Tao runes that resonated with the great Tao of the heavens and earth. This was a peerless god. Old ancestor. At this moment, a white-haired youth appeared outside the cave. Zhao Yunyang, what are you doing here? An old voice was heard from within the cave. Old ancestor, I want to go to the heaven realm to broaden my horizons. Please allow me. The white-haired youth bowed towards the cave and said, You want to go to the heaven realm? The peerless god in the cave said with some surprise. Yes. The white-haired youth's tone was firm. Very well, you can go now. The peerless god said. Thank you, old ancestor. The white-haired youth was overjoyed. He then bid farewell to the peerless god and prepared to go to the heaven realm. It's good to go to the heaven realm, lest those old fellows think that the Zhao family has no one left. In the cave, the peerless god who was sitting cross-legged on a praying mat mumbled to himself. Zhao Yunyang was the most outstanding person in the Zhao family of the Desolation. He had cultivated for less than 1,000 years, but he was already a saint emperor. He was just one step away from achieving the great sage Dao fruit. He was very clear why Zhao Yunfei wanted to go to the Heaven Realm. The Zhao family of the Heaven Realm was too much. They actually wanted to leave the Zhao family of the human realm. Zhao Yunyang headed to the Heaven Realm to reorganize the Heaven Realm's Zhao family and find the goddess. Zhao Ziru was the goddess of the Zhao family. Her potential was limitless. If they were to lose such a goddess, it would definitely be a huge loss to the primordial Zhao family. With Zhao Yunyang handling the matters of the Heaven Domain's Zhao clan, the peerless deity was more at ease. Although the primordial Zhao family was a cultivation family that had existed for countless years, the world of cultivation was a cruel one. Zhao Yunyang and the goddess of the Zhao family were the only rising stars of the younger generation of the Zhao family. However, in the eyes of the peerless true gods, the waters of the human world were much deeper than the Heaven Realm. The eastern region was not peaceful at all. Ji Yufei's return was bound to set off a bloody storm in the eastern region, and the Zhao family of the ancients did not plan to get involved. After returning from Wanxiang City, the ancestor of the Zhao clan ordered to recall all the clansmen of the Zhao clan from the antiquity of the ancients. He then sealed the mountain gate and forbade the clansmen from leaving. The primordial Zhao family wanted to preserve their strength. However, not everyone could see things as clearly as the ancestor of the Zhao family. There were people in the Dongfang family who were still dissatisfied and wanted to find Ji Yufei for revenge. Just a few days after the Iron Blood Daoist killed the red-haired demon, someone saw the figure of a bald man from the Western Buddhist sect appearing near Wanxiang City. Someone even saw the Dongfang family inviting an expert from the Western Buddhist sect away. The enmity between Ji Yufei and the Western Buddhist sect wasn't a secret in the mortal dimension. All those years ago when Ji Yufei hadn't attained the Tao, he'd once almost overturned the spirit mountain of the Western Buddhist sect and caused a mighty uproar. The current Buddhist Lord Qing Lian and the great elder of the Buddhist sect, Great Monk Fa Tian, still hated Ji Yufei to the core. As for the little monk Fan Xiu, he was Ji Yufei's nemesis. Just as the people from the Western Buddhist sect were appearing near Wanxiang City, far away in the ancestral land of the extreme East Goblin tribe, on a divine mountain in the sky, in a pavilion, a masked woman stretched out her hand and caught a fire signal talisman that fell from the sky. That little guy from back then has actually grown to such a level. The masked woman muttered to herself. On her shoulder, there was a fist-sized purple divine mink. This divine mink was extremely mystical because there was a third eye in the middle of its brows. This divine mink was the three-eyed divine mink. The three-eyed divine mink was a type of divine beast. Obviously, this three-eyed divine mink was the pet of the masked woman in purple. Raising a divine beast as a pet was too shocking. The ancestral land of the Eastern Goblin tribe was actually not in the eastern region of the Soaring Dragon ancestral star, but in another world. It was a region called the Eastern Goblin region. Looks like it's time to go out for a walk. The masked woman in purple muttered to herself. The world was going to be in chaos. Even if the Eastern Goblin tribe hid in the demon region, they would not be able to escape. The demon region had been sealed for so many years, it was time to open it up. The demon lord of the human world was Huang Long. The demon lord Huang Long was a peerless expert who stood at the peak of the human world. Now, even his daughter Yang Wu Shuang had successfully passed the Saint Realm Heavenly Tribulation and became a Saint Dragon. The demon tribe in the human world was related to the demon tribe in the Heaven Realm. According to the seniority of the Dragon tribe, the demon lord Huang Long of the human world was the descendant of the old turtle demon lord of the Heaven Realm. The Eastern Goblin tribe was restless. In the Southern Wasteland, the 100 clans of the Southern Wasteland were also restless. Among the 4 ancient clans of the Southern Wasteland, there were many geniuses who successfully passed the Heavenly Tribulation and became Saint Realm living beings. Few of Ji Yufei's opponents were still alive, but Qing Long was undoubtedly one of them. Qing Long was a formidable opponent of Ji Yufei in the past, but now, he was left far behind by Ji Yufei. When the news of Ji Yufei's return reached the Southern Wasteland, Qing Long, who received the news, immediately came out of his seclusion and left the southern wasteland for the eastern region. Ji Fei, on a mountain peak deep in the southern wasteland, a petite figure stood on a boulder and looked towards the east. There was an indescribable look in her eyes. Do you still remember a girl called Zhong Li Meng? The white-robed lady on the mountain peak muttered to herself. At this time, the southern wasteland was not peaceful either. Chaos had already appeared, which made some of the weaker forces feel uneasy. They were like a small boat on a raging sea that could be swept away at any time. The entire ancestral star of the soaring dragon was shrouded in an extremely depressing atmosphere, but at this time, everyone's attention was focused on the eastern region. Regardless of whether they knew Ji Fei or not, everyone was paying attention to him. After a period of peace, the Wanxiang city became lively again. Many unfamiliar cultivators appeared in the city, and the figures of experts could be seen from time to time in the vicinity of the Wanxiang city. Come, let me get rid of all of you at once. Chapter 28-26. The news of Ji Fei's battle with the mysterious creature and being injured not only spread throughout the soaring dragon ancestral star, but also to the heaven realm and the old tortoise's ears. In the heaven realm, where the West Dark Sea was located, there was a floating divine palace. This was the palace of the demon lord of the heaven realm. In the main hall of the divine palace, the old tortoise was sitting on a throne with his prized disciple, Xiaoqing, standing beside him. Master, that mysterious creature can really injure my big brother? Xiaoqing asked. At this time, there were many important figures of the heaven realm demon clan standing in the main hall. These people all pricked up their ears. They all knew that little Qing's big brother was an extraordinary fellow. He had experienced life and death together with the clan lord and had gone through trials and tribulations together. Chumph, I wonder who's going to be the unlucky one. That guy is digging a pit for himself. Old Tortoise said. He had already used these tricks of Ji Fei's countless times. He was truly a scammer. However, who was this Ji Fei trying to scam? Haha. He was very curious. Master, you're saying that my big brother isn't injured and is only pretending to be weak to lure the enemy? Xiaoqing said. He had also thought of this possibility. One should know that his big brother was not that easily injured. Moreover, there were not many people in this world who could injure him. Yeah, what do you think he's doing? I wonder if he's retrieved the mountain and river cauldron. The old tortoise said. He was still waiting for Ji Fei's mountain and river cauldron. That place could only be entered with the mountain and river cauldron. Otherwise, he would have to cultivate to the extreme path supremacy realm. If he could cultivate to the extreme path supremacy realm, why would he need to go to that place and take that thing away? Xiaoqing, why don't you go down to the lower realm to take a look? The old tortoise said to Xiaoqing. Master, really? Can this disciple go down? Xiaoqing was both surprised and happy. In fact, he had long wanted to return to the human world to take a look. Martial Granduncle, can I follow Martial Uncle Qing to the lower worlds? At this moment, a fair and chubby little fatty suddenly walked out from behind the throne. This little fatty looked exactly the same as Ji Zhong when he was young. This little fatty was Ji Zhong's son, Ji Xiaofeng. When Ji Fei and Old Tortoise joined forces to level the West Underworld Sea, Ji Xiaofeng was in seclusion. He did not see Ji Fei. Otherwise, he would have begged Ji Fei to bring him back to the human world. He had not seen his parents for a long time and missed them very much. At this time, little fatty Ji Xiaofeng had already cultivated to the Sage-to-be realm and could trigger the Sage Heavenly Tribulation at any time. If he successfully passed the Sage Heavenly Tribulation, he would become a true sage. TSK, with your level of cultivation, you dare to descend to the lower realms? Be careful not to get killed. When that happens, where am I supposed to find a grand disciple for that fellow, Ji Fei? Old Tortoise shook his head. Martial Granduncle, I am very powerful. Who can kill me? Who dares to kill me? Don't you agree? Ji Xiaofeng said arrogantly. His father was Ji Zhong, a martial sage king, and his martial granduncle was the old tortoise, the heaven realm demon lord. With his identity, it was natural that people would be afraid of him. No way. Old Tortoise shook his head and said. Martial granduncle, just agree to it. The little fatty grabbed old Tortoise's arm and shook it, acting coquettishly. When the higher-ups of the Heaven Realm Demon Clan saw this scene, their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. This was the clan leader of the Heaven Realm Demon Clan. Who would dare to act coquettishly in front of him? But this little fatty dared to do so. Moreover, with Martial Uncle Ching around, no one can hurt me. The little fatty continued to look at old Tortoise and said fervently, "Sigh, I'm afraid of you. If you want to go, just go. If anything happens, don't blame me for not warning you." Old Tortoise sighed and said, "Sigh, I can descend to the lower realms now." When little fatty heard that, he was both surprised and delighted as he cheered. Then, Xiaoqing packed some things and brought Jiyu Xiaofeng to the ancient path to heaven. This time, they did not go up, but down. While Xiaoqing was descending to the lower realms with the little fatty, in a secluded place in the Yaotai ancient sacred ground, a white-robed lady suddenly opened her eyes, stood up and walked out of the secluded place. "He's injured." The white-robed lady in the Yaotai ancient sacred ground muttered to herself. If Jiyu Zhong was here, he would definitely recognize this lady. This lady was the saintess of the Yaotai ancient sacred ground. For the Yaotai ancient sacred ground, the saintess of the Yaotai ancient sacred ground must maintain a pure and flawless body. She could never marry anyone. Once she was married, the saintess would no longer be the saintess. Back then, Jiyu Zhong carried the saintess of the Yaotai ancient sacred ground back to Dark Shaman City. Not long after, Jiyu Xiaofeng was born. The saintess of the Yaotai ancient sacred ground was still young, like a virgin. She did not look like a mother at all. She wanted to go to the eastern region, but she was stopped by the elders of the sacred ground. What Jiyu Fei and his disciple didn't know was that many people were rushing towards Wanxiang City. And in the eastern region, when the Ironblood Daoist killed the red-haired great demon, angry demonic roars came from the eastern region Devil Cave. A terrifying great demon was roaring. Another true demon had fallen. To the eastern region Devil Cave, this was definitely a huge loss. A Saint Venerable level true demon was roaring in the depths of the Devil Cave. On a dark and windy night, the Devil Cave shook. A terrifying aura spread out. A great demon rode a demonic horse, holding a spear in his hand, and rushed out of the Devil Cave. Rumble, an extremely powerful demonic aura spread out from the great demon and the horse. The entire world seemed to be unable to contain his demonic body, as if it was about to collapse. This was a peerless great demon. Jiyu Fei, on the demonic horse, the eyes of the great demon clad in demonic armor shone with a terrifying blood-red light. Then, the great demon and the horse soared into the sky. The horse stepped on the demonic clouds and flew towards Wanxiang City. When they were still 1,000 miles away from Wanxiang City, the great demon riding the demonic horse directly smashed the demonic spear in his hand. The spear turned into a demonic light and rushed towards Wanxiang City. An extremely powerful demonic force radiated from the demonic light, causing all living beings in the surrounding regions of Wanxiang City to tremble. Buzz. The void around Wanxiang City let out a rumble. The divine light of the city barrier appeared, but the demonic spear directly broke through the divine light of the city barrier and fell towards Wanxiang City. Chapter 28-27. When the demon arrived, half of the world was shrouded in demonic chi. Although it was just a demon, it was able to defeat an army of thousands. The entire world was trembling because of this demon. Swoosh. The demon on the warhorse immediately attacked. He smashed the demonic spear in his hand. Terrifying waves erupted from the demonic spear, shocking the heavens. However, a shocking scene appeared. The instant that the demonic spear was about to land on Wanxiang City, a huge chaotic hand appeared in the void. It grabbed the demonic spear and threw it back. Swoosh. The demonic spear flew across the sky and directly pierced through the great demon on the warhorse. The great demon sneered. He extended his hand and caught the demonic spear. Then, he urged the warhorse under him and charged towards Wanxiang City. The warhorse galloped across the sky like a terrifying devil mountain crushing down on the void. The void crumbled under the hooves of the warhorse, collapsing. Even the primordial chi was trampled out. The devil might was matchless. All the cultivators in the East region felt this supreme demonic might. All the living beings were terrified. The Zhao clan of the Desolate Era left the cave residence in the ancestral land immediately. He took a step and appeared in the sky near Wanxiang City in the next moment. In the depths of the Dongfang clan's ancestral land, in the Eastern Sky Tyrant King's seclusion grounds, a man wearing a bronze mask opened his eyes. Behind the bronze mask, there were two incomparably sharp eyes. This demon, the Eastern Sky Tyrant King, muttered to himself. His voice seemed to fuse with the great Tao, causing the great Tao of the heavens to resonate. The great demon seemed to have heard the words of the Eastern Sky Tyrant King. He paused for a moment and turned to look in the direction of the Dongfang clan's ancestral land. Tyrant King, an old voice resounded. Inside the helmet of the great demon, two blood-red lights lit up. He seemed to be able to ignore the obstruction of the void and see the Eastern Sky Tyrant King who was in seclusion. To existences like the Great Demon and the Eastern Sky Tyrant King, the peerless figures of the same generation as Jiyu Fei in the Tenglong continent were simply too weak. Let's get rid of that little guy first, then we'll have a gathering with you old friends. The demon retracted his gaze and muttered to himself. He continued to ride the war horse. He held the demon's spear and charged towards Wanxiang City. Everywhere he passed, the space would collapse and everything would be destroyed. It was too powerful. The demonic aura emanating from this peerless demon would cause even sages to tremble, let alone the countless living beings in Myriad Phenomenon City. Every living being in Wanxiang City was terrified to the extreme. It was a fear that originated from the depths of their souls. They could not control it at all. Buzz. Right at this moment, a rumble resounded from Myriad Phenomenon City. After that, an ancient cauldron shot into the sky and hovered in the sky above Myriad Phenomenon City. Primordial chaos energy surged on the cauldron, and a supreme force swept out from it and enveloped Myriad Phenomenon City. This ancient cauldron, when the great demon saw the mountain and river cauldron, he was extremely shocked. He seemed to recognize this ancient cauldron. However, he still continued to charge forward. Boom! With a loud explosion, the great demon stabbed out with his spear, wanting to break through the space sealed by the mountain and river cauldron and enter Myriad Phenomenon City. In the eyes of a great demon like him, the countless living beings in Myriad Phenomenon City were just ants. If he killed them, so be it. He wouldn't care at all. Countless demonic runes shot out from the demon's spear in the great demon's hand. Terrifying demonic energy exploded, causing the sky to shake. It was extremely terrifying. However, the demon's spear in the great demon's hand was blocked by a layer of primordial chaos energy, unable to move an inch forward. The space outside the primal chaos energy exploded. This was a great destruction, as if a world-destroying demon lord was destroying the world. The saint-level creatures who saw this scene in the distance all trembled. This scene was just too terrifying and terrifying. This old demon, the Desolate Era Zhao clan's god, muttered to himself. Roar! The great demon roared in anger. Layers of demonic runes spread out from his body. The demon's spear shook and the spearhead actually stabbed into the divine light formed by the primordial chaos energy. Little fella, do you dare to come out and fight? The great demon roared in anger. He attacked with all his might, but he still couldn't break through the space sealed by the mountain and river cauldron. Only the spearhead of the demon's spear managed to pierce through. Open! The great demon was furious. Thousands of demonic runes shone with boundless demonic light. At this moment, it was as if he had truly turned into a world-destroying demon lord, shattering the entire world. The earth was sinking, and the heavens were collapsing. Even some of the holigrade beings who were spectating the battle in the distance were blasted into clouds of blood mist by the surging demonic power, their bodies and souls destroyed. All the experts were shocked to the extreme and retreated even further away in fear. Only the Desolate Era Zhao clan's god was still standing in the sky. The powerful demonic energy couldn't hurt him at all. Buzz! The mountain and river cauldron shook. The great demon actually shook this ancient cauldron, causing it to show signs of being blown away. This shocked all the sages in Wanxiang City. This, in front of the Wanxiang city's city lord residence, Jiyu Zhong and the Iron-Blood Daoist looked towards the sky with a solemn expression. Swoosh! At this moment, a silhouette dashed out of the city lord residence and stepped onto a teleportation formation platform in Wanxiang City. Buzz! The sky shook and the teleportation formation platform opened up a space tunnel, sending that person out. Trying to escape. At this moment, the great demon that was trying to blow the mountain and river cauldron away sensed something and soared into the sky. He broke through the void and chased after the figure that was escaping from Wanxiang City. The war horse that the great demon was riding on broke through the void and charged into the chaotic void. Even if that person escaped into the void, the great demon would still be able to chase after him. Such a technique was terrifying. Jiyu Fei escaped. Could he really be severely injured in the battle against the mysterious living being? At this moment, the Dongfang clan's elder, who had been hiding in the void and observing everything in Wanxiang City, was surprised and overjoyed. Although the great demon was powerful, if Jiyu Fei wasn't injured, he would definitely be able to fight against the great demon. But now, Jiyu Fei escaped. Haha, good. Very good. The Dongfang clan's elder laughed and turned to leave. Master, in the Wanxiang City, in front of the city lord's mansion, Jiyu Zhong couldn't help but frown when he saw the monstrous demonic qi enter the shattered space. This demonic qi was incredible. It was probably a supreme expert that had already taken that step. The great demon's cultivation and battle prowess had definitely surpassed the Saint Venerable realm and had taken that crucial step. This great demon was a formidable opponent for Jiyu Fei. Soon, the terrifying demonic aura that shrouded the entire eastern domain disappeared. Lord Jiyu Zhong, don't worry. No one in this world can truly injure Master. The Iron-Blood Daoist said. He was very confident in Jiyu Fei. There are no absolutes in this world. This great demon is different from the rest. Jiyu Zhong was still very worried. One must know that if the other party was truly a peerless quasi-supreme being level demon, then even his own master would be in danger of perishing. At this moment, in the sky above Wanxiang City, the mountain and river cauldron was still there. Vast and mighty primordial chaos force protected the entire huge city. However, the ground around the huge city had collapsed. The entire Wanxiang City was like a lone island that stood on the ground. Rumble, in the chaotic void, the great demon rode on a warhorse and chased after Jiyu Fei. Let's see where you can run to. The great demon stabbed forward with his demonic spear. A demonic light immediately shot out from the spear and broke the chaotic void. It shattered the spatial tunnel and cut off Jiyu Fei's escape route. Jiyu Fei snorted coldly. He struck out with his palm and directly penetrated the chaotic void. Then, he charged out. However, the moment he charged out of the chaotic void, he was dumbfounded. He found himself in a dusky world. A terrifying demonic aura surged out from the depths of this world. This was a land of death, a land of death. Boom! A loud explosion was heard. 1,000 feet away from Jiyu Fei, the void suddenly exploded. An endless amount of demonic aura rushed out from the shattered void. A terrifying demonic figure broke through the void. Riding on a warhorse, he charged out. Little fella, die. The peerless fiendish devil roared. Countless devil runes revolved around him, causing the void around him to crumble. The entire void couldn't contain his supreme devil body. Roar! At this moment, a terrifying roar rang out from the depths of the land of death. The entire land of death shook along with this roar. What? Jiyu Fei was shocked. He did not expect his luck to be so good. After coming out from the chaotic void, he actually came to such a land of death. As the roar rang out, an extremely powerful demonic aura exploded from the depths of the land of death. This is my territory. All of you, scram. A furious roar rang out from the depths of the land of death. The heaven and earth trembled as a terrifying sound wave spread out. A series of ripples could be seen in the void. Hey! At this moment, the powerful existence in the depths of the land of death seemed to have sensed something. A series of sounds of metal chains clashing rang out as a gigantic figure appeared before Lin Fan. So, it's you. Little fella, To think that you would dare to chase me all the way here." The gigantic figure that was like a mountain looked down at Ji Yufei and said coldly. At this moment, the great demon had already come to a stop. He looked at the gigantic figure in the sky warily. Within his helmet, 2 blood-red lights were flashing. "It's you." Chapter 28. The mysterious creature appeared again. This time, it was Ji Yufei who had accidentally barged into its nest. At this moment, Ji Yufei smiled bitterly. This was truly a situation where there were wolves in front and tigers behind. The peerless ominous demon at the back wasn't easy to deal with, but this mysterious life form didn't seem to be any weaker than that peerless ominous demon. Roar. The figure in the sky above the ominous lands roared at the sky, causing the sky to tremble. Terrifying spatial cracks appeared high up in the sky. A single roar shook heaven and earth. This mysterious creature was definitely vicious enough, crazy enough, domineering enough. If I can slay your spiritual body, I can also slay your real body." Ji Yufei's battle intent surged. He could feel the battle blood in his body gradually boiling. As a cultivator, he was also a warrior. A warrior had to comprehend his great Tao in battles of life and death. To a certain extent, compared to secluded cultivation, battles were more important to raise one's cultivation. In ancient times, there were many strong cultivators in the untainted land. At that time, the martial Tao had not been lost yet. Some strong cultivators would often break through their bottlenecks in battles of life and death, killing their opponents in one fell swoop. "You are still wet behind the ears, yet you dare to be so arrogant." The mysterious creature that had transformed into a huge figure looked down at Ji Yufei. A strong wave of energy rippled from the figure, causing the void to crack continuously. "This little fellow is mine. You can scram now." At this time, the great demon stopped in the sky on his warhorse. He held a demonic spear in his hand and a pair of blood-red eyes shot out from his helmet, staring at the figure in the sky. "Do you know who you are talking to?" the mysterious creature said angrily. A strong divine sense swept across the sky and instantly locked onto the great demon. "Others might not know you, but I know you very well. You are not a good person either. The forbidden area of the heavenly market is very famous, but to me, it is nothing." The great demon sneered. "The forbidden area of the heavenly market. This guy is actually the mysterious creature of the forbidden area." Ji Yufei couldn't help being startled by the great devil's words. The mysterious life form in the forbidden land was definitely a powerful existence. The forbidden land creature in the West Nether Sea in the Heaven Realm was a good example. He, the old turtle, and the extraterrestrial overlord Ming Qiong had worked together. They had even used 3 great extreme saint artifacts to kill the powerful forbidden land creature in the West Nether Sea and level the West Nether Sea. "You deserve to die." The mysterious creature from the forbidden region was enraged. Clanging sounds rang out as a huge iron chain shot out from the depths of the forbidden region, directly wrapping around the peerless fiendish devil on the warhorse. "Humph!" The peerless fiendish devil sneered. He raised the devil's spear in his hand and thrust it forward. Kang Chong, the devil's spear instantly pierced the entangling iron chain and shook it away. At the same time, the peerless fiendish demon charged towards Ji Yufei. The warhorse leapt high into the air, and its 2 front hooves fiercely stomped down on Ji Yufei's head. Rumble, a large piece of the void under the horse's hooves collapsed and then collapsed. A powerful destructive force shrouded Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei's heart trembled. This peerless fiendish devil was indeed crazy. He actually attacked the forbidden land creature and himself at the same time. Roar! Ji Yufei roared and punched upwards with his right fist. A ball of dazzling chaotic divine light bloomed from his fist. In the dark sky, it was as if a chaotic divine sun had suddenly emerged. The strongest martial arts force exploded from Ji Yufei's fist. He directly punched out the chaotic fist. The chaotic fist force shook the heavens and the earth, displaying the strongest power. Boom! The 2 forces collided in an instant, and the entire void instantly collapsed and was annihilated, no longer existing. Cracks in the space were like black lightning, wreaking havoc in all directions. A figure fell from the sky like a meteorite. Boom! With a loud sound, it hit the ground. A powerful shockwave spread out, and the entire ground immediately undulated violently like a wave. This was the Forbidden Land. The void was extremely stable, but the ground was still collapsing, and dust rose into the sky. Gu Fei, the peerless fiendish demon, fell from the sky. However, the peerless fiendish demon was also sent flying by Gu Fei's chaotic fist. Demonic blood seeped out from the two front hooves of the war horse. The war horse that the peerless fiendish demon was riding was also very extraordinary. It was a demonic dragon horse. Its whole body was covered with a thick layer of black scales. Its pair of iron hooves could crush mountains and rivers. In the distant past, it carried the peerless fiendish demon to conquer the world, defeating all heroes in the world. The East Region Devil's Den used to be extremely powerful, but it was sealed by a great figure with the 9 divine mountains for countless years. The peerless fiendish demon was sealed in the depths of the Devil's Den and fell into a long slumber together with his war horse. After that, he woke up in the present and continued to conquer the world. This was a powerful and terrifying war devil that was extremely cold-blooded. He had fought countless battles in his life, but no one was able to kill him, allowing him to continue living. Such a fiendish demon was pitilessly powerful, and there were few who could fight against him in the world. He was definitely an existence that stood at the peak of the world. Rumble, the heavens and earth trembled. The devil and the warhorse erupted with a supreme ferocious might. Their bodies were shrouded in devilish flames as their killing intent soared into the sky. They were about to rush down from the sky. But at this moment, an iron chain pierced straight towards the peerless war devil. On the surface of the iron chain, there were mysterious runes surging. At the same time, another chain pierced out from the depths of the forbidden zone and sank deep into the ground, heading straight for Gu Fei. The mysterious life form in the Forbidden Land was also incomparably powerful. It also attacked the peerless war devil and Gu Fei at the same time. F***CK, do you all think this daddy here is easy to bully? On the ground, Gu Fei roared furiously. A supreme chaotic aura erupted from his body, causing the soil around him to crumble. It was a scene of great destruction. A chain directly pierced through the ground, piercing towards him. Clang! Gu Fei threw out a punch, his right fist directly colliding with the iron chain that was piercing through him, producing a metallic friction and a deafening sound. The iron chain was repelled by Gu Fei's fist, but he was also struck into the depths of the earth by an extremely powerful force. Kill! At this moment, the peerless war devil roared in rage as he galloped forward. The devil's spear in his hand smashed apart the iron chain that pierced out from the depths of the Forbidden Land, directly killing his way into the Forbidden Land. Roar. Chapter 28-29. The peerless war demon and the mysterious creature in the forbidden area of the sky market started fighting. Terrifying ripples spread out from the depths of the forbidden area, shaking everything. What's going on? Outside the forbidden area of the sky market, all the cultivators were startled by the powerful ripples that suddenly burst out from the depths of the forbidden area. Is someone fighting in the forbidden area? Someone said with a trembling voice. This was not impossible. It should be known that not long ago, the forbidden area of the Heaven Realm, the Western Underworld Sea, was flattened by someone. There were also forbidden areas in the human world. In the depths of the sky market, there was a forbidden area of the Heaven Realm. To other creatures, it was impossible for them to come out alive after entering the forbidden area of the sky market. It was not a secret that there was a mysterious creature in the forbidden area of the sky market. With such a huge commotion coming from the forbidden area of the sky market, there was definitely a supreme being making a move. A terrifying aura spread out from the depths of the forbidden area, causing the creatures outside the forbidden area to be terrified. Because of the ancient road to heaven, the sky market had undergone earth-shattering changes. Especially the areas near the ancient road to heaven, they had already become the territories of various major forces. The super forces of the Tenglong continent had established strongholds near the ancient road to heaven and sent experts to guard the strongholds. The commotion coming from the forbidden area of the sky market immediately alarmed all the experts of the sects and clans near the ancient road to heaven. What's going on? The people of the Dongfang family were bewildered because they had come into contact with the mysterious creature in the forbidden area before. It was a powerful creature, not any weaker than the Eastern Sky Tyrant Emperor of their family. Demon, it's a demon. Soon, some experts felt the terrifying demonic aura coming from the depths of the forbidden area of the Sky Market. What? It's actually a demon? Could it be that the great demon from the eastern region Devil Cave is attacking the forbidden area of the Sky Market? Everyone was shocked to the extreme. No one had thought that there would be such a result. There were actually experts from the demons fighting against the mysterious creature in the forbidden area. Soon, many experts gathered outside the forbidden area of the Sky Market. There were even experts from the Heaven Realm. They also wanted to know what was going on. What's going on? Why do I feel Big Brother's aura? Two people arrived outside the Heavenly Market's forbidden zone. One was a young battle general wearing battle armor, and the other was a fair and chubby little fatty who always had a smile on his face. Marshal Uncle Ching, could it be that Patriarch is in the forbidden zone? The little fatty couldn't help but exclaim in shock when he heard the young general's words. These two people were Xiaoqing and Jiyu Xiaofeng, who had just returned to the human realm from the Heaven Realm. They happened to be near the ancient road to heaven and were naturally attracted by the commotion in the forbidden area of the Sky Market. Under Old Turtle's personal guidance, Xiaoqing's cultivation was naturally not weak. He sensed the existence of three powerful auras in the Heavenly Market's forbidden zone. One of the weaker auras was actually very similar to his big brother's. How would I know? Xiaoqing said. He knew how terrifying the forbidden zone was. 4 weak creatures, whoever entered would die. He didn't dare to enter rashly and could only watch from the outside. Rumble, an incomparably shocking sound came from the forbidden zone. Even the people outside the forbidden zone could feel the tremors under their feet. A powerful silhouette appeared in the sky outside the forbidden zone. It was a silhouette shrouded in dazzling golden light. It stood quietly in the void, but it gave people the feeling of a lofty mountain. I didn't expect that even the patriarch of the Zhao clan of the desolate antiquity would come. An antique existence recognized the golden deity. It was the peerless deity from the Zhao clan of the desolate antiquity. At the same time, figures of supreme experts appeared in other areas outside the forbidden zone. They were all patriarch-level existences from the great sects and clans. I didn't think that even such characters would be alarmed. Xiaoqing was very surprised. One should know that these patriarch-level existences were definitely the strongest group of people in the human realm. Such existences would not appear so easily. These patriarch-level existences did not enter the forbidden zone and only watched from the outside. At this time, in the depths of the forbidden zone, Jiyu Fei broke through the layers of soil and rushed out from the depths of the earth. Kill. His battle intent was like a rainbow. He directly took a step forward and used the extreme speed of 8 steps. He actually crossed the endless void in an instant and directly killed his way into the depths of the forbidden zone. Ha ha! Little fellow, you came to die. Very good. The creature from the forbidden zone laughed loudly. You want to kill me? Be careful, or I'll kill you. Jiyu Fei directly attacked the creature from the forbidden zone. He punched out with the primal chaos fist, smashing the void and instantly arriving in front of the creature. Boom! The creature from the forbidden zone punched out, colliding with Jiyu Fei's primal chaos fist. The two figures quickly separated, neither gaining the upper hand. Hey! The creature from the forbidden zone was somewhat surprised. The opponent's battle prowess seemed to have become even stronger. He could actually fight against it. This was truly somewhat unimaginable. Swish! Just as Jiyu Fei was being forced back by the mysterious creature, a demonic light directly pierced towards the back of his head. The peerless ferocious demon galloped towards him. Jiyu Fei flipped his right hand and a black sword appeared in his hand. Without thinking, he turned around and swung his sword. Keng Chong! The black sword in his hand fiercely slashed at the incoming demonic spear, causing it to be jolted away. However, at this time, the demonic dragon horse under the peerless war devil ruthlessly charged towards him. Scram! Jiyu Fei roared angrily. The void seemed to explode with a sudden clap of thunder, shaking the surrounding void so much that cracks appeared like spider silk. He used all his strength to smash his left fist towards the head of the charging demonic dragon horse. Bang! A muffled sound of collision rang out. Jiu Fei's left fist solidly smashed into the head of the demonic dragon horse. An extremely violent power exploded from his fist. The peerless war devil and his horse were forced back hundreds of feet. The peerless war devil was incomparably shocked. He found it hard to believe that this little fellow's battle prowess had actually increased to such a level that he could actually fight against him. Jiu Fei was also forced back. After all, there was still a distance between him and the peerless war devil. However, he had grasped a secret art of the immortal Tao that could instantly increase his battle prowess. He had already cultivated the Heaven Ascension secret art to the point of perfection. As long as he willed it, he could instantly increase his battle prowess and then instantly fall back. In this way, he could overcome the fatal flaw of the Heaven Ascension secret art and no longer be limited by time. Come, let's have a good fight. Chapter 28:30. Jiu Fei roared towards the sky. He wanted to fight to his heart's content. An extremely powerful aura erupted from his body as he attacked the two supreme experts. Rumble, the heavens and earth shook. Jiu Fei executed the secret technique of the immortal Tao to the extreme. When he punched out, his strength would instantly soar to a level that was enough to contend against the supreme war demon and the mysterious life form. With his current cultivation and battle prowess, he didn't even know how much his battle prowess would soar if he executed the Heaven Ascension secret technique with all his might. Good timing. The supreme war demon rode on the demonic dragon horse. The demonic spear in its hand directly pierced towards Jiu Fei as supreme demonic energy erupted. Boom! Jiu Fei's fist instantly collided with the demonic spear. The two figures moved rapidly. The four hooves of the demonic dragon horse that the supreme war demon was riding stomped on the ground, causing the void to collapse and shatter. Even the chaotic chi was trampled out. It was incomparably terrifying. The cultivation of the demonic dragon horse that the supreme war demon was riding was not weak either. This demonic dragon horse definitely had the cultivation and battle prowess of a holy venerable. At this time, the mysterious life form from the Forbidden Zone also joined the battle. Three extremely powerful figures were fighting with all their might. This was a chaotic battle that caused the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. Outside the Forbidden Zone, everyone was extremely shocked. It was simply unimaginable that someone actually dared to attack the Forbidden Zone of the human world. It's really Big Brother. Xiaoqing was bewildered because he was very familiar with one of the three supreme auras that surged out from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. Is Grandmaster really inside? Little Fatty, who was beside Xiaoqing, was shocked and overjoyed when he heard this. Why is Big Brother here? And why is he fighting against those two supreme experts? Xiaoqing's expression turned solemn. This was not a good thing for Jiu Fei. One should know that Jiu Fei's cultivation had not increased to the level where he could contend against those existences. However, what puzzled Xiaoqing was how Jiu Fei was able to fight against those existences with his holy venerate cultivation and battle prowess without falling into a disadvantageous position. A strong energy fluctuation spread out from the depths of the Forbidden Land. The entire Heavenly Ruins Forbidden Land shook intensely, and sinister cracks appeared on the ground. Even the forbidden area was in danger of sinking at this time. The area outside the Heavenly Market's Forbidden Zone was shaking as well. All the cultivators within the Heavenly Market could sense a supreme coercion coming from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. All the living beings were terrified. What is Jiu Fei doing? On a divine island in the sky above the West Underworld Sea in the Heavenly Realm, Old Tortoise was sitting cross-legged in a palace on the divine island. He suddenly opened his eyes. He could sense Jiu Fei's aura crossing over, which shocked him. Jiu Fei was definitely fighting in the vicinity of the ancient road to heaven. Old Tortoise could not sit still anymore. He was not someone who could calm down in the first place. The matter at the West Underworld Sea had come to an end. He had successfully conquered the forbidden land of the Heavenly Realm and set up a checkpoint at the exit of the ancient road to heaven to collect fees for entering and exiting the Heavenly Realm. To enter the Heavenly Realm, one had to pay 10 divine crystals or 3 divine herbs. When the cultivators in the heavenly realm wanted to descend to the lower realm, they had to pay 10 divine crystals and 3 divine herbs. Many people were dissatisfied with Old Tortoise setting up a checkpoint at the exit of the ancient road to heaven, especially the great sects and clans in the heavenly realm. However, no one dared to say anything because the West Underworld Sea was jointly conquered by Old Tortoise and Gu Fei. Old Tortoise had contributed a lot, so it was normal for him to want some compensation. Moreover, 10 divine crystals and 3 divine herbs were nothing to the great sects and clans in the heavenly realm. Only the rogue cultivators felt that the price was too high. One should know that the cultivation resources of the rogue cultivators could not be compared to the disciples of the great sects and clans. 10 divine gems and 3 stalks of divine herbs were not a small amount of cultivation resources for those independent cultivators. Ordinary independent cultivators could not even take out 10 divine gems, let alone divine herbs. It's time to go to the human realm. Old Tortoise stood up and took a step forward. In an instant, he left the divine island and appeared in front of the ancient road to heaven. He directly stepped onto the ancient road to heaven. Many cultivators near the ancient road to heaven saw Old Tortoise stepping onto the ancient road to heaven. Some of them were very excited. Without Old Tortoise, the checkpoint on the ancient road to heaven was like an empty shell. Those powerful existences would not miss such an opportunity. Many people in the heavenly realm wanted to descend to the lower realm, but because of Old Tortoise's checkpoint, many of them were stopped. Old Tortoise's departure gave these people hope. However, even though Old Tortoise had left, there was still an expert from the monster race on the divine island. That expert was a super antique from the monster race in the heavenly realm. His seniority was even higher than Old Tortoise's. In the human realm, deep in the heavenly ruin, in the forbidden area, Gu Fei was fighting against the peerless war devil and the mysterious living being. Although he had the strongest martial body, he was still coughing up blood. Boom! Gu Fei and the mysterious living being exchanged a palm strike and was sent flying thousands of meters away. His entire arm felt numb. The mysterious living being was also pushed back by Gu Fei's palm strike. Gu Fei's combat strength was extremely strong. He could fight against these peerless living beings who had already taken that step. However, he was still using tricks. There was still a huge gap between him and the mysterious living being. Swoosh! The peerless war devil attacked again. Its demonic spear pierced through the void, aiming at Gu Fei's forehead. Clang! Gu Fei waved the 9 heaven stars sword in his hand, blocking the incoming demonic spear. Then, with the speed of 8 steps, he soared into the sky and stomped on the peerless war devil's head. Rumble! An extremely strong destructive force immediately surged down from his feet. The peerless war devil was very experienced. He clenched his left hand into a fist and punched upwards. Bang! His fist collided with Gu Fei's right foot. Boom! With a loud sound, 2 extremely strong forces exploded in an instant. The void between the two suddenly collapsed. Gu Fei was sent flying by the peerless war devil's punch. As for the peerless war devil, he and his horse were trampled down from the sky by Gu Fei's foot and smashed into the ground. Roar! The peerless war devil roared. The ground cracked and collapsed. Amidst the endless dust, a figure riding a demonic dragon horse rushed out from the depths of the earth. However, just as the peerless war devil emerged from the ground, the mysterious living being attacked him again. The peerless war devil was once again smashed into the ground. Damn it! The peerless war devil roared. A horrifying ball of demonic fire rushed out from the depths of the earth. In an instant, it spread out and covered the sky. This was the true demonic fire. The mysterious living being could not dodge in time and was instantly engulfed by the demonic fire. The mysterious living being hid in the black fog. The space around him was flooded by the demonic fire, but this kind of terrifying demonic fire could not hurt him at all. To be more precise, the demonic fire could not burn the mysterious living being at all. The black fog around the mysterious living being was repelled. The peerless war devil and the mysterious living being began to fight. Just then, Xiao Chen rushed over again and joined the battle. The 3 powerful cultivators attacked each other. Sometimes it was the peerless war devil and the mysterious living being, and sometimes it was the mysterious living being and Ji Fei. Sometimes, Xiao Chen and the mysterious living being teamed up to attack the peerless war devil. However, sometimes, it was the mysterious living being and the peerless war devil who attacked Ji Fei together. Wherever the three powerful figures passed by, everything was destroyed. Nothing was left. Ji Fei fought crazily and displayed his extremely powerful combat abilities. The peerless war devil and its horse were both injured. Demonic blood dripped from the sky from time to time. The mysterious living being was in the same situation. Two fists could not fight against four hands. When Ji Fei and the peerless war devil attacked the mysterious living being together, the mysterious living being could not help but feel fearful against the attacks of two powerful cultivators and immediately retreated. Chapter 28:31. The mysterious creature was shrouded in divine light and its real body was not visible. This shocked Ji Fei. This guy's cultivation method was very special. Could it be an expert from another world? Bang! Ji Fei clashed head-on with the mysterious creature again. The mysterious creature's divine light was slightly dispersed by his fist energy, and some purplish-green scales could be seen. The two figures quickly separated. Ji Fei turned around and charged at the peerless war demon. The ninth heaven star's sword in his hand released a resplendent sword light. Specks of starlight flickered on the body of the divine sword. Swoosh! He slashed with his sword. It was like a starry sky falling from the sky, rushing towards the war devil. Wherever the sword light passed, everything was crushed and destroyed. Clang! The war devil waved the demonic spear in his hand, blocking Ji Fei's sword. The sound of metal colliding and rubbing spread far and wide. One sword punishing the heavens. Ji Fei used the 9 swords of punishing the heavens. An extremely powerful wave of sword chi immediately spread from the 9th heaven star's sword in his hand. An immortal sword light rushed out from his hand. Yes. The war devil sensed the sword intent spreading from Ji Fei's body. He couldn't help but be surprised. He didn't dare to be careless and quickly used his strongest combat skill. The demonic spear in his hand turned into a ferocious and terrifying demonic dragon, rushing towards Ji Fei's sword light. Swoosh! The peerless sword light flashed and cut the demonic dragon formed by the peerless war devil's spear into two. The sword light's momentum did not diminish as it continued to slash towards the peerless war devil. What? The war devil was shocked. He leaped from the back of his horse and dodged the peerless sword light falling from the sky. However, the demonic dragon horse under him was not so lucky. The heaven-punishing sword flashed and the demonic dragon horse's head fell off. Roar! The fiendish devil was infuriated. He raised his head to the sky and roared. Devil chi surged as he attacked Ji Fei. His spear had already been cut in two by Ji Fei's sword. The heaven-punishing 9 swords was the invincible sword principle. Once the heaven-punishing sword light appeared, Ji Fei's disadvantage was immediately reversed. Rumble, a peerless fiendish demon punched out, causing the entire void to collapse. Chaos Chi was blasted out as a terrifying destructive force rushed towards Ji Fei. Shua! Ji Fei brandished the 9 heaven stars sword in his hand and unleashed a sword light of punishing heaven. It broke through the mighty power of destruction and rushed towards the peerless war demon. At this time, the demonic dragon horse had already recovered. Its head, which had been cut off by Ji Fei, was reattached to its neck. Although its demonic body could recover, it was still severely injured. The sword Dao laws contained within the heaven-punishing sword light had already injured this devil dragon horse. Roar! The demonic dragon horse roared towards the sky. A shadow of a demonic dragon appeared on its body and a terrifying aura spread out from its body. The demonic dragon horse leaped into the sky and rushed towards Ji Fei. Its 2 hooves shattered the void, displaying its powerful combat strength. However, at this time, Ji Fei was in a mysterious state of sword Dao. In his eyes, there was only his opponent and nothing else. Ji Fei seemed to be possessed by the ancient heaven-punishing sword ancestor. He brandished the invincible sword will and a sword light rushed out from his hand, chopping off the head of the demonic dragon horse. The peerless war demon wanted to stop it but was forced back by the sharp invincible sword light that Ji Yufei had unleashed. This guy, the peerless war demon, was both shocked and angry. The aura emitted from his opponent made him feel uneasy. It was as if he was facing an extreme sword ancestor. Of course, Ji Yufei was definitely not an invincible sword ancestor. What made the peerless war demon uneasy was the invincible sword will emitted from Ji Yufei's body. Swoosh! The invincible sword light crisscrossed and a sword mark appeared on the peerless war demon's body. His skin and flesh were torn apart and demonic blood seeped out from the sword mark. At this time, the mysterious creature charged over. However, the current Ji Yufei was like a hedgehog with spikes all over his body. Whoever touched him would be unlucky. The heaven-punishing sword light rushed out from Ji Yufei's body and directly pierced through the mysterious creature. Its speed was so fast that even the mysterious creature was startled. Clang! The mysterious creature waved the 2 iron chains in its hands, trying to block the piercing sword light. However, the sword light directly severed the chains in the mysterious creature's hands and left a hideous sword mark on the creature's body. The invincible sword will activated the sword light and displayed its great power. The mysterious creature had no choice but to retreat. Damn it! The mysterious creature felt extremely depressed. His opponent was just a little brat, yet he was injured by such a little brat. This was a great humiliation. Ji Yufei, however, ignored the creature's anger and continued to activate the invincible sword will. He attacked the war demon and the mysterious creature at the same time. At this moment, the chaotic battle between the 3 powerhouses had turned into a battle between the peerless war demon and the mysterious creature against Ji Yufei. How is this possible? The more the war demon and the mysterious creature fought, the more shocked they became. They shockingly realized that Ji Yufei seemed to be in an extremely mysterious state of invincibility. This state was very frightening. Right now, it was not Ji Yufei using the sword will, but the sword will controlling him. The sword will of the 9 swords of punishment was the embodiment of the invincible way of the sword. The sword will was invincible. As long as Ji Yufei remained in this state, no one could hurt him. Not even the war demon and the mysterious creature could. Ji Yufei did not know that he was being controlled by the sword will. He continued to comprehend the sword will of the 9 swords of punishment. Such an invincible way of the sword would make everyone jealous. The demonic dragon horse also rushed over. After being struck by Ji Yufei's sword twice, it was already heavily injured by Ji Yufei. However, it was still incomparably ferocious, its 2 hooves constantly stomping on Ji Yufei's head. Spurt! There was a flash of blood. A beam of sword light of punishment shot out from Ji Yufei's body, piercing the dragon horse's forehead and killing its soul. All of this happened too quickly. The demonic dragon horse didn't even have time to let out a scream before it was killed and revealed its true form. It was a dragon horse that was even larger than a mountain. After being killed by Ji Yufei, it revealed its original form. It was a creature with a dragon head and a horse body. The corpse of the dragon horse fell from the sky. With a bang, it smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. Dust rose into the air. The war demon's warhorse was dead. This made the war demon almost go crazy. It attacked Ji Yufei with all its might. The dragon horse had followed the war demon for countless years. It accompanied him to conquer the world. To the war demon and the dragon horse, this was not an ordinary master and servant relationship. Buzz! The 9 heavenly stars soared in Ji Yufei's hand hummed. As soon as the sword light of punishment appeared, the war demon was immediately forced back. It did not dare to face the invincible sword intent head-on. A few more slashes appeared on its body. The mysterious creature was unable to injure Ji Yufei at all. Instead, it was injured by Ji Yufei's invincible sword intent. Its body was covered in blood. How dare you? How are we supposed to fight? The mysterious creature directly retreated. It was very decisive. Its opponent was in a state of invincibility. It was impossible for it to defeat him. This state was very mysterious. No one knew how long Ji Yufei's state would last. Once the mysterious lifeform retreated, the peerless war devil would be in trouble. The heaven-punishing sword light that rushed out of Ji Yufei's body all rushed towards the peerless war devil. Swish! A sword light flew by, and a bloody wound immediately appeared on the war demon's body. Demonic blood seeped out of the wound and dripped into the soil on the ground, directly devilizing a large area. The war demon was unwilling to retreat and continued to fight with Ji Yufei. At this time, no one knew what was happening in the forbidden zone of the Sky Market. However, the battle in the forbidden zone had alarmed everyone. From time to time, incomparably powerful figures could be seen in the periphery of the forbidden zone. What's going on? Why is Ji Yufei here? The Dongfang family's elder was incomparably shocked when he received the news. He immediately rushed to the forbidden zone. It really is Ji Yufei. He actually didn't die. The Dongfang family's elder found it hard to believe. He had never imagined that even the war demon would not be able to kill Ji Yufei. In the entire eastern region of the mortal world, Ji Yufei definitely had many enemies. However, his friends were even fewer. Some people who had enmity with Ji Yufei naturally hoped that the creature in the forbidden zone would kill Ji Yufei. However, those who were on good terms with Ji Yufei were secretly worried for Ji Yufei. Big brother, outside the forbidden zone, Xiaoqing almost couldn't help but rush into the forbidden zone. However, he didn't lose his rationality and really didn't enter the forbidden zone. Martial ancestor, the smile on Ji Xiaofeng's face also disappeared. Swish! Just as Xiaoqing was worrying about Ji Yufei, a figure descended from the sky and landed on a stone mountain outside the forbidden zone. It was a white-robed man. Ghost Emperor Fengdu. Someone recognized this white-robed man. This person was actually Ghost Emperor Fengdu, who had founded the path of ghost cultivation. At this time, Ji Yufei's subordinates also entered the Sky Market. When they found out that Ji Yufei was fighting the fiendish devil and the creature in the forbidden zone, they couldn't help but be surprised and happy. When Ji Yuzhong saw Ji Xiaofeng, his eyes became moist. His son had already grown so tall and big. Moreover, he looked exactly like him when he was young. Father. Ji Xiaofeng hurriedly greeted Ji Yuzhong. You. Very good. Ji Yuzhong looked at his son and didn't know what to say for a moment. Father, where's my mother? Ji Xiaofeng looked at Ji Yuzhong and asked very seriously. Ever since he went to the heavenly realm, he had never seen his mother again. He really wanted to know her current situation. In the Yarotai ancient sacred ground. Chapter 2832. Ji Yuzhong and his son, Ji Xiaofeng, were finally reunited. However, Ji Xiaofeng's mother was not here, which made Ji Xiaofeng feel a little disappointed. After all, they had not seen each other for many years. However, Ji Xiaofeng's mother was the previous saintess of the Yarotai ancient sacred land. Even though she could no longer be the saintess after getting married, she was still an important figure in the sacred land. In fact, because of Ji Yufei, the higher-ups of the Yarotai ancient sacred land did not make things difficult for Yaoji. Instead, they nurtured her with great care and intended to let her take on important tasks. The Yarotai ancient sacred land had their eyes on Ji Yufei's forces. Ji Yufei was too dazzling. Some people who did not think highly of him were now regretting to death. Just like the Dongfang family, they had long regretted offending such an existence, burying a great calamity for the Dongfang family. At this time, the news of Ji Yufei breaking into the Sky Market's forbidden zone spread everywhere. This fierce person was indeed fierce. Not long ago, he joined hands with the demon lord of the heaven realm to destroy the West Dark Ocean's forbidden zone. Could it be that he was going to attack the Sky Market's forbidden zone again? The news of Ji Yufei and the old turtle joining hands to destroy the West Dark Ocean had already spread throughout the human realm. Even the local forces of the eastern region had experts crossing over and entered the Sky Market. Even Ghost Monarch Fengdu was alarmed and personally came to the forbidden zone. This little guy is really good at stirring things up. Ghost Monarch Fengdu stood high in the sky. With his cultivation, he could naturally see the depths of the forbidden zone and saw Ji Yufei fighting against the war demon. Sky punishing sword ancestors sword intent. Ghost Monarch Fengdu had lived for countless years, so his knowledge was naturally extraordinary. With one glance, He could see the origin of the killing sword art Jiyu Fei was using. Sky-punishing sword ancestor was definitely a ruthless character. The sky-punishing sword art he created had once destroyed a world with one slash. It was incomparably terrifying. The 9 heaven-punishing swords was a killing sword art created by sky-punishing sword ancestor. Buzz. At this time, a sword chime came from the depths of the forbidden zone. The 9 heaven stars sword in Jiyu Fei's hand emitted a bright sword light, forcing the war demon to retreat. He was still in that mysterious and invincible state. Ethereal enlightenment. Interesting. Ghost Emperor Fengju sighed. He could see the state that Jiyu Fei was in. It was the mystic understanding realm, a state that was extremely difficult to enter during cultivation. He never thought that Jiyu Fei would be able to enter this state. This was too heaven-defying and abnormal. One should know that out of 100,000 cultivators, not even one would be able to enter the ethereal enlightenment realm. This kind of cultivation state was the upgraded version of Epiphany, which meant that it was even more heaven-defying than Epiphany. Through this state, Jiyu Fei could say that he had completely comprehended the invincible sword intent of the 9 heaven punishment swords. It was as if the sky-punishing sword grandmaster had personally imparted his Tao to Jiyu Fei. At this moment, Jiyu Fei really seemed to have been possessed by the sky-punishing sword grandmaster and was displaying his invincible sword Tao. Even someone as powerful as the peerless war demon was in danger when facing Jiyu Fei at this time. More and more sword wounds appeared on his body, and he was covered in blood. The most terrifying thing was that the heaven-punishing sword Qi had invaded his demonic body and was destroying his vitality. Damn it! The peerless war demon continued to roar. The demonic energy from his body shot up to the sky. He continuously performed the great technique of demons, wanting to kill Jiyu Fei. However, it was difficult to compete with his opponent's invincible sword Tao. At this time, the mysterious living being in the forbidden area had already retreated. I am not willing. The peerless war demon finally crushed a jade talisman. A demonic light instantly wrapped around him, and he immediately escaped into the void, disappearing without a trace. Jiyu Fei did not try to stop him. Instead, he sat down cross-legged in the void and began to cultivate. This was extremely shocking to the onlookers. The battle ended just like that. No one thought that this would be the result. Jiyu Fei had actually defeated 2 peerless characters, and he was still cultivating casually. In the eyes of others, this was definitely the rhythm of challenging the mysterious living being. Perhaps, he didn't even put the mysterious living being in the forbidden area in his eyes. Only Ghost Emperor Fengju knew that Jiyu Fei, who had entered the mystic understanding state, did not want to stop. He wanted to continue comprehending the profoundness of the heaven-punishing sword Tao. Such an opportunity was extremely rare. Countless cultivators, even if they cultivated for a lifetime, might not be able to enter such a state of cultivation. The old turtle's figure also appeared outside the forbidden area of the sky ruin. He had come down to see what was going on. When someone saw the old turtle, they couldn't help but be extremely nervous. One should know that this fellow was a ruthless character. He had previously joined hands with Jiyu Fei to level the forbidden area of the West Underworld Sea in the Heaven Realm. When some people saw the old turtle, they immediately retreated. The old turtle also had many enemies in the human realm. He and the little monk Fan Xiu of the West Earth Buddhism were arch-enemies. However, the Buddhists had their own troubles, and no Buddhist experts dared to cause trouble for the old turtle. The Buddhists of West Earth had the chaotic 7 Buddhists, as well as the Buddha devil of the Buddha land. The entire West Earth Buddhism had 8 great Buddhists. As a result, the Buddhists of West Earth could not expand their territory eastward. They could only eliminate the chaotic 7 Buddhists and the newly born Buddha devil without any worries. Master. When Xiaoqing saw the arrival of the old turtle, he hurriedly walked over and bowed to the old turtle. En. The old turtle nodded and didn't say anything else. He looked at the place where Ghost Emperor Fengju was, and Ghost Emperor Fengju also happened to look at him. The old turtle only nodded at Ghost Emperor Fengju and didn't say anything else. Ghost Emperor Fengju also nodded. Boom. At this moment, a muffled sound came from the depths of the forbidden area. An incomparably huge beast claw appeared in the sky and grabbed down at Jiu Fei below. The beast claw enveloped the entire space, emitting a terrifying aura that caused one's heart to palpitate. This was the attack of the mysterious lifeform in the depths of the Forbidden Land. He wanted to disturb Jiu Fei and cause him to fall into a state of cultivation deviation. Courting death. The old turtle took a step forward and instantly appeared under the beast claw. With a flip of his right hand, an ancient seal immediately appeared in his hand. He directly activated the ancient seal in his hand. A powerful force immediately rushed out from the ancient seal and turned into a huge dragon. It soared into the sky and directly shattered the beast claw. A dragon roar seemed to resound in the void. The dragon circled in the sky and fiercely swooped down, entering the ancient seal in the old turtle's hand. Whoever dares to touch my brother, I will slaughter his entire clan. The old turtle's cold voice came from the depths of the forbidden area and clearly reached the ears of every cultivator. Then, he actually directly killed his way into the depths of the forbidden area. Chapter 28:33. Roar. In the depths of the eastern region Devil Cave, a roar of anger and unwillingness was heard. The entire Devil Cave trembled, causing the group of demons to howl in fear. Boundless demonic chi surged. On a formation platform in the depths of the Devil Cave, a demonic figure stood. This demonic figure was clad in demonic armor and was shrouded in demonic flames from head to toe. War Devil, what the hell are you shouting for? At this moment, a figure walked over from afar. Scram! Roared the demonic figure standing on the platform. An extremely strong demonic might burst forth from his body. This demonic figure was the exceptional war demon that had just retreated from the forbidden zone of the heavenly ruin. "Mph, I'll scram just because you told me to. Do you think you're the demon ancestor?" It was a crimson-haired youth. He walked out of the rumbling demonic chi and stood opposite the supreme war devil. He sneered at the war devil on the formation platform. "Ayo, where's your warhorse and your weapon? Kaka, don't tell me you lost your warhorse and weapon after being chased by someone." The crimson-haired youth looked at the supreme war devil on the formation platform and sneered. He actually didn't put the supreme war devil in his eyes at all. "Mo Tian, you're courting death." With a roar, the peerless war demon leaped from the platform and pounced towards the crimson-haired young man. He grabbed the air with his right hand and an endless amount of demonic light condensed into a demonic spear in his hand. Then, he thrust it towards the crimson-haired young man. Although the crimson-haired youth had a very high status in the Devil Cave, the supreme war devil didn't fear him. "Mph," the crimson-haired youth sneered and waved his hand. A demonic light immediately rushed out from his hand and collided with the demonic spear. Two supreme demonic energies exploded in an instant. The two figures quickly separated, and the vast demonic energy directly turned the formation platform into dust. Mo Tian was the young lord of the eastern region Devil Cave. His cultivation was extremely strong. He had a few clones, but his true body was always in a deep sleep. One of young Master Devilsky's avatars had even fought with Jiu Fei before. Young Master Devilsky had always been mysterious and no one knew when he was traveling with his avatar and when his true body would descend. "What's wrong? Are you looking for someone to vent your anger on after being taught a lesson outside? Unfortunately, you've found the wrong target." Young Lord Demonic Sky stared at the peerless war devil and said with disdain. "Roar." The peerless war devil roared and pounced towards young Master Devil Sky once again. "If you want to fight, let's fight. Who's afraid of who?" The young Lord of Evil Sky roared and made his move as well. A demonic dragon rushed out from his hand and charged towards the peerless war demon. Just as the two Devil Path experts were about to engage in a fierce battle, a figure suddenly appeared between them. The demonic figure separated his hands and blocked the attacks of the young Lord Demon Sky and the peerless war demon. "Enough." The demonic figure that suddenly appeared swept a glance at the young Lord Demonic Sky and the peerless war devil before saying sternly, "Father." When the young Lord Demonic Sky saw the figure of the demons that suddenly appeared, he couldn't help but be shocked and quickly bowed towards the figure. "Greetings, Demon Lord." The peerless war demon didn't dare to be negligent. One must know that the incoming demons was the Demon Lord of the Eastern Region Demon Lair. This caused his heart to tremble and a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. "All of you, scram!" The demon lord of the Eastern region demon lair said coldly. The figure of the demon lord gave off an illusory feeling, as if a gust of wind could blow his figure away. However, it was this demonic figure that easily blocked the attacks of the young Lord Demonic Sky and the Peerless War Demon. The young Lord Demonic Sky and the Peerless War Demon didn't dare to say anything and quickly retreated. They didn't dare to anger the Demon Lord. One must know that the Demon Lord was a demon ancestor. It wasn't a secret that the Demon Lord of the Eastern region demon lair was a demon ancestor. However, this demon ancestor wasn't at his peak. This demon ancestor was still in a deep slumber and this figure was merely one of his incarnations. After the young Lord Demonic Sky and the Peerless War Demon left, the Demon Lord's figure also disappeared into the void. Just as the Eastern region Demon Lord appeared to stop the battle between the young Lord Demonic Sky and the Peerless War Demon, a great battle was taking place in the depths of the Sky Ruin. The life form of the Forbidden Region actually wanted to sneak an attack on Gu Fei while he was cultivating, trying to disturb Gu Fei's cultivation. This made the old tortoise furious. The old tortoise took a step forward and charged into the depths of the Sky Ruin's Forbidden Region, fighting against the incomparably powerful life form. "How dare you touch my brother? You guys are simply courting death." In the depths of the Forbidden Region, the old tortoise scolded and attacked. He hadn't even used the Tai Sovereign Seal yet, but he could already fight against the life form. The life form sneered and didn't say anything. Instead, he attacked with all his might, wanting to kill the old tortoise. Rumble, the life form stretched out his right hand and a starry sky gushed out from his palm, enveloping the old tortoise. A powerful force sealed the entire void. "Insignificant tricks," the old tortoise said disdainfully. Then, he also stretched out his right hand and grabbed forward. A huge palm appeared between the heavens and the earth, directly slapping into the starry sky that enveloped it. The starry sky was instantly destroyed. The starry sky collapsed and the old tortoise's palm collided with the lifeform's right hand, causing a muffled sound to erupt. Crack. Then, the sound of bones breaking was heard. The lifeform from the Forbidden Region screamed and was sent flying. The life form from the mortal realm seems to be much weaker than the ones from the heavenly realm. The old tortoise felt strange, but he didn't think too much about it. He directly chased after the life form, wanting to kill it. A shocking killing intent spread from his body. Swish. The life form from the Forbidden Region rushed into a cave in the depths of the Forbidden Region. It was a cave that inhaled and exhaled chaotic chi. The sound of iron chains colliding was heard from inside. "Want to escape?" The old tortoise directly chased after it without fear and rushed into the cave. The moment the old tortoise rushed into the cave, a dazzling divine light burst out of the cave, and a terrifying destructive force exploded in an instant. The cave collapsed, burying the old tortoise inside. Roar. A muffled roar came from the collapsed cave. Then, the entire ground began to shake. Boom. Soil splashed everywhere. A figure holding a large seal rushed out of the collapsed cave. Chapter 28:34. Rumble. A shocking sound came from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. Rays of black light rushed out from the ground, breaking through the void and destroying the sky. Clanging sounds kept coming from the depths of the earth. An extremely terrifying aura burst out from the depths of the earth, as if a creature that had been sleeping for countless years was awakening. At this moment, the old tortoise rushed up to the sky and looked down. The ground was collapsing, and an extremely ferocious aura surged out from the cracks. He could not help but be moved. When the chaotic cave suddenly collapsed, he used the Tai Huang seal to protect himself and escaped the disaster. What's going on? Is there a big guy hiding under the Forbidden Zone? The old tortoise was shocked. At this time, Gu Fei was still sitting cross-legged in the void. He still had not woken up from the mystic enlightenment state. One should know that it was the invincible sword intent of the heaven-punishing 9 swords. It was not something that could be comprehended in a short time. Since ancient times, the ethereal enlightenment realm had always been a legendary cultivation state. This state was mysterious and unfathomable, hard to describe. Only super antiques like Ghost Emperor Fengju and the Old Tortoise knew of such a cultivation state. Even Ghost Emperor Fengju and the Old Tortoise had never entered such a state of cultivation. It was definitely a coincidence that Ji Yufei could enter such a state of cultivation. It was something that could only be encountered and not sought. To Ji Yufei, it was definitely a great thing. The mystic enlightenment state was even more heaven-defying than enlightenment. It was like the sky-punishing sword ancestor was personally passing on the technique. A sword aura fluctuation that made the heaven and earth lose their color appeared on Ji Yufei's body. This shocked the people outside the forbidden zone. Wasn't Ji Yufei a martial artist? Why did he cultivate the sword path? In fact, there was the sword path in the martial path. To be precise, the sword path was only a branch of the martial path. There were 3,000 great paths, and all of them could be achieved. The sky-punishing sword ancestor was an existence that had cultivated the sword path to the extreme since ancient times. Even a demon ancestor of the same level would have to retreat when he slashed with his sword. At that moment, something happened in the depths of the forbidden zone. An iron chain rushed out from the depths of the earth and pierced through the old tortoise in the sky. At the same time, another chain broke through the ground, piercing towards Ji Yufei, who was sitting cross-legged in the void in the distance. The powerful being deep underground was attacking Old Tortoise and Ji Yufei at the same time. The mysterious being knew that Ji Yufei was in a strange state and did not want to see Ji Yufei become stronger. Preposterous. The huge beast in the depths of the earth was the mysterious creature's real body. The mysterious creature's real body was trapped in the depths of the earth. It wanted to break the shackles on its body with the help of the old tortoise's Tai sovereign seal and escape. Unfortunately, the mysterious creature never expected the old tortoise to be so fierce. It severely underestimated the power of the Tai sovereign seal, so the mysterious creature met a tragic end. After the old tortoise killed the mysterious creature, he stood to the side to protect Ji Yufei. Outside the forbidden area, the experts who were watching the battle were all dumbfounded when they saw the old tortoise kill the mysterious creature. They could not believe it. However, some experts also felt that the mysterious creature in the heavenly market was not particularly strong. The fact that a forbidden area of the human world had been destroyed just like that was unbelievable to many people. What an undeserved reputation. At this moment, the Dongfang clan's elder was filled with regret. He had even used a quasi-paragon saint artifact as a price to get the mysterious being to act. It was the human emperor's seal, which was now in the old tortoise's hands. It was his spoil of war. Many people left after the battle ended. When the news spread, the entire cultivation world of the human world was in an uproar. Everyone could not believe it. When the news reached the heaven realm, all the forces were shocked. At this time, Ji Yufei was still in the state of the mystic enlightenment. He had entered a deep state of comprehension. It was impossible for him to exit that state in a short time. Ji Yuzhong and the others entered the forbidden area, but they did not dare to get too close to Ji Yufei. With the old tortoise protecting Ji Yufei, no one dared to touch Ji Yufei. Ghost Emperor Fengju also said that he would kill anyone who dared to disturb Ji Yufei. Chapter 2835. Old Turtle and Ji Yufei leveled another forbidden area. This kind of achievement was simply unprecedented. They had done something that no one had ever done before. The existence of the forbidden area could be traced back to the most distant era. Moreover, since the day the forbidden area appeared, it had always existed. Even in the darkest era, no one could level the forbidden area. Someone sensitively sensed that a variable had appeared in this life. Otherwise, how could the forbidden area that had existed for countless years be leveled? This life might be different from any previous life. However, no one knew what the variable in this life was. However, all the cultivators in the cultivation world of the Tinglong continent knew one thing. That was, Ghost Emperor Fengju seemed to favor Ji Yufei. This was definitely not a good thing for those who had enmity with Ji Yufei. Before Ghost Emperor Fengju left the heavenly market, he said something that shocked all the forces. Whoever dared to interfere with Ji Yufei, he would kill them. This was what Ghost Emperor Fengju said. No one dared to ignore his words. He seemed to have never valued a rising star so much. Variable, in the ghost palace of Fengju, on a palace floating high in the sky, a grey-clothed man sat on a throne in the main hall and muttered to himself. Under his messy hair, 2 bright eyes could be seen. This mysterious man with fluffy hair and ragged clothes was the supreme existence that even Ghost Emperor Fengju had to serve carefully. I hope this little guy won't disappoint me. The mysterious man's eyes dimmed. Then, he stopped talking as if he had fallen asleep. Soon, a loud snoring sound came from the main hall. Yes, Jiyu Fei has also come to the mortal world. Tinglong Continent, southern wasteland, deep in the 100,000 mountain range, a golden-haired young man sat on a mountain peak. Suddenly, he looked to the east and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. The news that Jiyu Fei and Old Turtle had leveled the forbidden area of the heavenly market spread to the western Buddhist land. All the higher-ups of the Buddhist sects felt great pressure. This was really a matter of internal and external troubles. It was conceivable that the days of the Western Buddhist sect would become more and more difficult. If only the incarnation of Lord Buddha was still here, in the depths of the Western Buddhist land, at the peak of the Spirit Mountain, an old baldy muttered to himself. He sat cross-legged on a large rock, and he wore a dirty kasaya. This old baldy was Heavenly Monk Fa Tien. The dirty kasaya he was wearing had a great history. It was a kasaya worn by Lord Buddha in the past, and it had a great power to subdue demons. But now, this kasaya was being worn by Heavenly Monk Dharma. Back then, in the heavenly market, when the heavenly path platform appeared, it accidentally opened a passageway between the human realm and the heavenly realm. After a huge battle, the Lord Buddha's incarnation entered the heavenly realm and disappeared without a trace. If the incarnation of the ancient Buddhist Lord was still around, how could the Buddhist devils have the chance to wreak havoc in the Buddhist land? The ancient chaos 7 Buddha devils and the Buddha devil that had escaped from the Buddha land formed a powerful force. It was a force that could almost contend against West Earth's Spirit Mountain. The 8 great Buddha devils were eyeing West Earth's Buddhist holy land covetously. They could attack Spirit Mountain at any time and occupy this immortal sacred mountain. West Earth's Buddhist holy land was in big trouble, so they naturally wouldn't find trouble with Jiyu Fei. However, that little monk Fan Xiu had always been sinister and cunning. He wouldn't act according to common sense, so Jiyu Fei had to be careful and didn't dare to let his guard down. At this time, Jiyu Fei was still sitting cross-legged in the void. The forbidden area of the heavenly market was silent. No one spoke, but everyone could clearly hear each other's breathing. The old turtle was guarding him from the side. Even Jiyu Zhong and the others couldn't get close to him. Master, Big Brother, Jiyu Zhong and Xiaoqing were very worried. It should be known that this place wasn't a good place, but they didn't dare to disturb Jiyu Fei's cultivation. Another few hours passed before Jiyu Fei's body suddenly moved. In the next moment, the extremely sharp sword intent that had been radiating from his body quickly retracted, completely submerging into his body. This, the old turtle, who had been guarding at the side, couldn't help but be shocked. He never thought that Jiyu Fei would withdraw from the cultivation state of the mystic enlightenment realm so quickly. One sword to punish the heavens. Jiyu Fei opened his eyes and waved his right hand. A dazzling sword light immediately soared into the starry sky and slashed into the depths of the starry sky. In an instant, a star was split in half. Good. The old turtle clapped his hands and walked over. You came at the right time. Fight with me first. As Jiyu Fei spoke, he stood up in the void. As he stood up, a shocking sword chi immediately rushed out from his body. Swoosh. Jiyu Fei didn't think much and directly slashed his right hand at the old turtle. His right hand seemed to have turned into a divine weapon that split the void in half. Okay, then I'll practice with you. The old turtle's fighting spirit was provoked by Jiyu Fei. He stretched out his right hand and directly grabbed Jiyu Fei's slashing right hand. Then, with a pull, Jiyu Fei's entire body flew up and smashed into the ground. Good heavens, while Jiyu Fei was shocked, he had already smashed into the ground, creating a large pit. Dust flew everywhere as his entire body sank into the soil. Buzz. A sword chime was heard, and a sword light soared into the sky from the big pit. It arrived high in the sky and stood opposite the old turtle. Master, Jiyu Zhong couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this scene from afar. However, he didn't go over because the two experts were in the middle of a fight. If he wasn't careful, he might be affected. Why are those two fighting? Many people outside the forbidden area of the sky market were shocked and puzzled. No one knew why the old turtle and Jiyu Fei were fighting, but for some people, they were happy to see this scene. Be careful, I'm going to get serious. Jiyu Fei looked at the old turtle and said, "Come on." The old turtle shrugged and said indifferently, "Buzz." Jiyu Fei didn't hesitate. He separated his hands and two golden sword shadows suddenly appeared in the void, emitting an extremely powerful sword chi. "Go!" Jiyu Fei growled and waved his hands. The two golden sword shadows immediately rushed out and strangled the old turtle, which made the old turtle's heart tremble. Old Tortoise stretched out his right hand and pressed forward. A tortoise shell immediately appeared in the void. The two strands of sword light slashed at the tortoise shell but were blocked by the tortoise shell. Chapter 28:36. Although Jiyu Fei was only sparring with the old tortoise in the forbidden area of the heavenly market and was not really fighting, the mighty power was still shocking. Rumble, the void shook, which made the forbidden area of the heavenly market, which was already almost destroyed, even worse. Some places directly sank, and a large area collapsed, causing dust to rise high into the sky. Buzz. At that moment, Jiyu Fei's body was surrounded by sword light as if there were countless heavenly swords hovering and dancing around him. He displayed the profound meaning of the sky-punishing swordsmanship to the fullest. Swoosh. As Jiyu Fei waved his hand, a dazzling golden light immediately rushed out from his hand. It directly broke through the void and instantly slashed in front of the old tortoise. Ouch! The old tortoise cried out in surprise and quickly dodged. However, the sword light was extremely fast and actually slashed past his body. A strand of his hair floated down from the sky. "Brat, are you trying to kill me?" The old tortoise scolded. Jiyu Fei's previous attack really shocked him. After all, even the old tortoise would be injured if he was struck by the sword light triggered by the supreme swordsmanship. "Haha, if I can even injure you, then you, big tortoise, deserve to be unlucky." Jiyu Fei laughed and continued to attack. This time, countless sword lights interweaved and formed a large net that enveloped the old tortoise. "Sigh, I have to be more serious." The old tortoise's body trembled as he spoke. A ball of divine light immediately surged from his body, and a huge tortoise shell appeared on his body. Clang! The interweaved sword light that formed a net fell on the old tortoise's tortoise shell. However, the sword light was shaken off by the shell and shattered in the void. "Brat, have a taste of my tortoise shell." The old tortoise shouted and extended his hand. The huge tortoise shell that emerged from his body immediately appeared in his hand. He then swung the tortoise shell in his hand and smashed it at Jiyu Fei. The tortoise shell was so hard that even the heaven-punishing sword light couldn't leave any marks on it. Jiyu Fei was speechless. This tortoise shell was the old turtle's protective treasure. Back then, the old turtle was trapped in the isolation formation and was worn down by the power of the isolation formation for countless years. It was because of this tortoise shell that the old turtle did not perish. Boom! Jiyu Fei clenched his right hand, and boundless sword light instantly converged on his right fist. After that, he punched out and smashed it directly against the turtle shell. The powerful impact shook the tortoise shell, and the powerful sword light condensed on Jiyu Fei's right fist instantly exploded, and the tortoise shell made a clanging sound. Ancient runes appeared on the tortoise shell, dispersing the power of Jiyu Fei's punch. What a hard turtle shell! Jiyu Fei couldn't help but be surprised. This tortoise shell was many times more powerful than when he met the old turtle. It seemed that this was the true power of the tortoise shell. The two figures quickly separated, and then they fought again. All kinds of great techniques and thousands of Tao laws surged from the bodies of the two great experts, causing everyone to feel dizzy. This was not a real fight, but a kind of verification. Jiyu Fei was using the old turtle to verify his own knowledge, and the old turtle was doing the same. This, Jiyu Zhong and the others couldn't help but be shocked. He didn't really understand what the two cultivators were displaying. He felt as if there was a thin veil in front of him. He seemed to see something, but he couldn't see anything clearly. This feeling made him crazy. However, Jiyu Zhong was very clear that as long as he tore this veil in front of him, his cultivation would rise to a new level and realm. The other spectators also felt the same, especially the saints like the Iron-Blood Daoist and Xiaoqing. Those who hadn't become saints found it difficult to comprehend anything. The battle between Jiyu Fei and the old turtle caused heaven and earth to boil and the void to explode. An extremely terrifying aura spread out, not only enveloping the entire forbidden area of the heavenly market, but even the entire heavenly market was enveloped by the aura of the two great experts. Countless cultivators had gathered at the ancient road to heaven in the sky market. At this time, everyone was looking at the forbidden area in fear. This Jiyu Fei is getting stronger and stronger. Someone said something like that. At this time, the people of the Dongfang clan were extremely depressed, especially the clan elder. If they could start over, they definitely wouldn't have provoked this killer. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Moreover, in the eyes of the upper echelons of the Dongfang clan, Jiyu Fei was just an ant that they could crush with one finger. No one would have thought that Jiyu Fei would be able to grow so smoothly and reach such a level. The battle between Jiyu Fei and the old turtle lasted for a day and a night. Both of them didn't hold anything back and unleashed everything they had learned, felt, and comprehended. As they verified each other, Jiyu Fei gained great benefits. He knew what he was still lacking and where he was still lacking. He continued to perfect his great path during the battle. Every life in the world was unique. There was no second Jiyu Fei in the world, and the great path comprehended by every powerful creature was also unique. Jiyu Fei's great path only belonged to Jiyu Fei. It was unique and didn't belong to anyone. Whether it was the martial path or the sword path, it was just a way for him to find his true self. The great path was only him. This kind of comprehension was very mysterious and indescribable. Only by comprehending could one understand the profoundness within. One had to know that there were as many cultivators as there were hairs on an ox, but those who truly comprehended were few and far between. Jiyu Fei comprehended it, so he wanted to take that step. However, he only wanted to take that step and didn't actually take it. He already had a direction. It was as if a guiding light suddenly appeared in front of him in endless darkness. The sun rose from the east, and the fiendish aura that shrouded the sky above the heavenly market's forbidden zone completely dissipated. The entire region was no longer dark, and sunlight shone into the forbidden zone. Due to the existence of that mysterious creature, the entire heavenly market's forbidden zone had not seen sunlight for many years. Now, the forbidden zone had become a thing of the past. However, the creature in this forbidden zone was really too weak. Some people went to look up the ancient records and actually found some clues. This forbidden zone might just be a cage. Of course, this was only a guess. Jiyu Fei and the old turtle brought everyone back to Wanxiang City. Then, Jiyu Fei and the old turtle temporarily went into seclusion to digest what they had comprehended during the battle. Chapter 28-37. The battle in the forbidden area of the sky market had ended. The outcome of the battle was unexpected. No one had expected such an outcome. The forbidden area of the human realm had been destroyed just like that. The strength of the living beings in the forbidden area seemed to have been exaggerated. The mysterious living beings in the depths of the forbidden area were not killed by Jiyu Fei, but by the old tortoise. He had even obtained a quasi-paragon sacred tool, the human emperor's seal. Jiyu Fei and the old tortoise fought a great battle before returning to Wanxiang City to train in seclusion. However, at that moment, someone came to the city lord's mansion of Wanxiang City to pay a visit to Jiyu Fei. However, Jiyu Fei happened to be in seclusion. Azure Dragon, it's you. Xiaoqing recognized the young man who came to pay a visit to Jiyu Fei. This person was the current Azure Dragon of the Azure Dragon tribe who was defeated by Jiyu Fei. Azure Dragon was a name, but it was also a form of glory. That was because only the strongest expert of the current Azure Dragon tribe was qualified to be called Azure Dragon. Xiaoqing had naturally seen Azure Dragon before. H. Get Jiu Fei to come out and see me. Azure Dragon was very domineering. Although his clothes were tattered, he carried a huge halberd and blocked the entrance of the City Lord's mansion of Wanxiang City, not allowing anyone from the City Lord's mansion to enter. Haha, you were defeated by my big brother, yet you still dare to challenge my big brother? You're simply courting death. Little Qing laughed as he looked at Azure Dragon with a hint of disdain. Although Azure Dragon was powerful, it was a pity that he was born in the same era as Jiu Fei, so he was destined to have a tragic ending. In Xiaoqing's opinion, Azure Dragon was not a match for his big brother. At that moment, the Iron Blood Daoist, the three saints of heaven, earth and human, as well as Jiu Zhong, who was guarding outside Jiu Fei's seclusion, were alarmed. Azure Dragon. When Jiu Zhong saw Azure Dragon, he was shocked. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that Azure Dragon would actually dare to come here. Was he courting death? Jiu Zhong naturally knew why Azure Dragon was here, but he did not think highly of Azure Dragon. Jiu Zhong. When Azure Dragon saw Jiu Fei, he couldn't help being startled. It seemed like Jiu Fei really was here. He didn't find the wrong place. Thinking about that, he couldn't help feeling excited. You'd better leave. You're no match for my master. Jiu Zhong frowned. Humph. Azure Dragon sneered. He fiercely raised his head and stared at Jiu Zhong. Then, he said, do you dare to come out and fight? Since Jiu Fei was in closed-door training, he would first use his disciple to practice. Then, when Jiu Fei came out of closed-door training, he would fight with Jiu Fei. His target was Jiu Fei. Why not? Jiu Zhong looked at Azure Dragon and said coldly. All right, follow me if you have the guts. As Azure Dragon spoke, he carried his halberd and sword into the sky, charging towards a mountain ridge outside of Wanxiang City. Shua. Jiu Zhong took a step forward and executed the 8 steps extreme speed technique, instantly catching up to Qinglong. The two of them landed on 2 mountain peaks. Rumble, 2 supreme auras of the divine path burst from the two of them. The entire world shook and the space around them became unstable. At this moment, the Iron Blood Daoist, Xiaoqing, and the others chased after them. They stopped high in the sky and looked at the two experts who were confronting each other in shock. This Azure Dragon, only then did Xiaoqing sense Azure Dragon's true cultivation. This guy was actually a great saint, and a peak great saint. He was only 1 step away from breaking through to the holy venerable realm. Jiu Zhong was only a great tier sage king. There was a difference of 2 realms between him and Azure Dragon. How could he fight against him? After all, if a cultivator's cultivation base was too far apart, it was a boundary that could not be crossed no matter what. Even a heaven-defying existence would not be able to defeat a being whose cultivation base was 2 great realms higher than theirs. I will suppress my cultivation to the peak tier Sage King realm and fight with you. Azure Dragon was extremely confident. He actually suppressed his own body, causing his cultivation to fall to the peak tier Sage King realm. He was not willing to suppress Jiu Zhong with the power of a great saint. You're courting death. Jiu Zhong stared at Azure Dragon on the opposite mountain and said coldly, whether I'm courting death or not, you'll know very soon. As Azure Dragon spoke, he pushed his feet off the ground and his entire body suddenly turned into a beam of divine light that soared into the sky. With a roar, he waved the big halberd in his hand and fiercely slashed at Jiu Zhong, who was on the opposite mountain. Jiu Zhong directly threw out the golden element fist. An extremely powerful fist force erupted from his fist. Bang! His fist directly smashed on the big halberd that was slashing down. Roar! Jiu Zhong exerted his strength and actually shook off the big halberd that was slashing down. Then, he directly punched at Azure Dragon's chest and abdomen. Close combat was originally the advantage of a warrior. Kill. Qinglong neither dodged nor dodged. With a furious roar, he also punched out, smashing towards Jiu Zhong's head. The power of his fist was extremely powerful. This was a fighting style that did not care about one's life. Both sides would be injured. Bang! Jiu Zhong's fist smashed into Azure Dragon's chest and let out a muffled sound. An extremely ferocious fist force instantly erupted from his fist and directly sent Azure Dragon flying tens of thousands of feet away. Ji Yuzhong managed to avoid being hit in the head, but Azure Dragon's fist still smashed into his shoulder. The shock caused half of his body to go numb and he was sent flying. Buzz. After Ji Yuzhong stabilized his body, an extremely powerful wave of sword chi erupted from his body. He extended his hand and wiped away the trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Then, he separated his hands and golden sword shadows immediately appeared around him. Myriad sword flight. Ji Yuzhong shouted and waved his hands at Azure Dragon. Countless golden sword shadows immediately appeared around him and immediately pierced towards Azure Dragon. They covered the sky and the earth and were densely packed. Terrifying sword chi rippled in the sky. Azure Dragon borrows the power of the heavens. Azure Dragon did not hesitate and directly used the battle technique of the Azure Dragon clan. The power of the world in the entire world was drawn by him and then crushed towards Ji Yuzhong. Countless golden sword silhouettes immediately shattered, as if they had been crushed by an invisible divine mountain. The entire world seemed to be pressing down on Ji Yuzhong. Ji Yuzhong shouted and waved his hands at Azure Dragon. The countless golden sword shadows that appeared around him immediately pierced towards Azure Dragon. They covered the sky and were densely packed. Terrifying sword chi rippled in the sky. Azure Dragon borrows the power of the heavens. Azure Dragon did not hesitate and directly used the battle technique of the Azure Dragon clan. The power of the world in the entire world was drawn by him and then crushed towards Ji Yuzhong. Chapter 2838. Azure Dragon of the Azure Dragon clan of the Southern Wastelands had been a formidable opponent of Ji Yufei ever since Ji Yufei had made his debut. Back then, Azure Dragon had fought against Ji Yufei in the mountains. Even though he had used the Great Dragon Halberd, he was still almost killed by the extremely powerful Ji Yufei. If it were not for the experts of the Azure Dragon clan suddenly appearing and saving Azure Dragon, the most outstanding prodigy of the younger generation of the Southern Wastelands would have lost his life. The current Azure Dragon could be said to have truly matured. The Azure Dragon bloodline in his body had completely awakened. Azure Dragon was still the strongest person of the younger generation of the Southern Wastelands. He was also one of the few among the Southern Wasteland geniuses of the same generation as Ji Yufei. The world of cultivation was a cruel world where the strong preyed on the weak. Even people with heaven-defying constitutions could die before they matured. Back then, the Southern Wastelands had indeed produced many outstanding prodigies. Azure Dragon was the most dazzling existence among them. At this moment, Azure Dragon seemed to see the figure of Ji Yufei from Ji Yuzhong. The master and disciple were both powerful, domineering, and powerful. Rumble, Azure Dragon used a secret technique of the Azure Dragon clan. He drew in all the world force in the surroundings and the 3,000 ways surged from him. They turned into destructive beams of light and shot toward Ji Yuzhong. He had suppressed his cultivation to Saint Ruler. He wanted to defeat Ji Yuzhong at the same level of cultivation as him. Only then could he demonstrate his strength. Roar. Ji Yuzhong was in great danger. He roared at the sky and his hair began to flutter wildly. His gaze became extremely sharp, but he did not panic. Instead, he was filled with battle intent. Heaven-concealing hand. Ji Yuzhong roared and immediately used the heaven-covering hand. Extremely violent martial power erupted from his body and a huge golden hand appeared in the void. It emitted a terrifying aura and directly slapped towards the 3,000 rays of light that had pierced through the void. This was a huge shock. The Iron-Blood Daoist, Xiaoqing, and the others who were watching from afar were incomparably shocked. Even if they were in Ji Yuzhong's place, they would not be a match for this Azure Dragon. More than half of the 3,000 Dao lights were destroyed by the golden heaven-covering palm. However, there were still a dozen or so Dao lights that broke through the golden palm and pierced through Ji Yuzhong's martial body. This was an injury of the great Dao. Ji Chongwu's body was pierced by the light of the Dao, and golden blood flowed out. The wound was difficult to heal. When they saw this scene, Xiaoqing and the others were greatly alarmed. It was not good for them to take action, because this was a battle between Ji Yuzhong and Azure Dragon. Victory and defeat would be decided, and life and death would be decided. Even if Jiyu Fei came, as long as Azure Dragon continued to suppress his cultivation and fight with Jiyu Zhong at the same level, Jiyu Fei would not interfere. Of course, if the Azure Dragon no longer suppressed his cultivation and bullied the weak, then it would be a different story. Although Azure Dragon had injured Jiyu Zhong, he was also sent flying high into the sky by Jiyu Zhong's heaven-covering palm. A trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Good heavens, Azure Dragon was extremely shocked. This disciple of Jiyu Fei was actually so powerful. He was probably not far from being invincible in the same level. In fact, although he had suppressed his cultivation, he still had a great advantage. Although his peak Great Saint cultivation was suppressed, his body was still a true Great Saint's body. The power of his body should not be underestimated. Roar. At this time, Jiyu Zhong roared. The power of the Saint King level martial body erupted. His entire body seemed to have turned into a golden man cast from gold. Every muscle, bone, and flesh on his body was emitting a dazzling golden light. Golden runes were faintly discernible. Even his long hair had turned golden. Jiyu Zhong's body emitted a powerful fluctuation of power. His body emitted a dazzling golden divine light. His entire body was like a burning golden divine fire. The dozen or so wounds on his body were healing at a visible speed. The power of the great Tao attached to the wounds was being erased by his own power. Azure Dragon did not take advantage of Jiyu Zhong's recovery. He was very confident. He stood high in the sky and looked down at Jiyu Zhong. The combat power of this junior had already exceeded his expectations. A warrior was invincible in the same level. This was definitely not a lie. If it was an ordinary Saint King, he would have been killed by Jiyu Zhong with a single punch. Again. Jiyu Zhong had completely recovered. His battle intent was even more powerful. His blood and chi were exuberant. He roared and soared into the sky, directly attacking Azure Dragon in the sky. Like a dragon soaring into the sky, he pressed forward with indomitable will. Jiyu Fei has accepted a good disciple. Even Azure Dragon could not help but sigh. He swooped down from the sky and turned into a huge dragon. He instantly collided with Jiyu Zhong, who soared into the sky. Boom! With a loud sound, the two experts collided with each other and instantly separated. However, they instantly collided again, unleashing their killing techniques and fighting fiercely in close combat. It was as if a golden dragon and a green dragon were fighting with all their might. It was extremely intense. Bang! A green fist ruthlessly smashed into Jiyu Zhong's shoulder. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. Jiyu Zhong was sent flying by this punch. However, at the moment when Jiyu Zhong was sent flying, Azure Dragon's chest was also hit by Jiyu Zhong's fist. Azure Dragon was sent flying. His chest caved in and a fist mark appeared. Close combat had always been a martialist's specialty. If they were of the same rank, Azure Dragon would not be able to gain any advantage over Jiyu Zhong in close combat. However, for existences like Jiyu Zhong and Azure Dragon, as long as they were not injured by the Great Path, even if they were smashed into pieces, they could recover in an instant. Jiyu Zhong's bones and tendons that were smashed by Azure Dragon healed in an instant. He had completely recovered. He once again rushed forward. Good timing. The fist mark on Azure Dragon's chest also disappeared. He shouted and rushed towards Jiyu Zhong, who was rushing towards him. The battle continued. The two experts each displayed their strengths. They fought from the sky to the ground, deep into the ground, and from the ground to the sky. It was hard to tell who would win. That Azure Dragon is too conceited. Who can defeat Jiyu Zhong at the same level? Xiaoqing said. Although Azure Dragon was strong, he knew very well that if Azure Dragon did not have the physical body of a peak great sage, he would have been defeated by Jiyu Zhong. Invincible among the same level warriors, Ironblood Taoist looked at the two people fighting in the distant sky and could not help but murmur to himself. At this time, all the practitioners in Wanxiang City were alarmed by the battle outside the city. Countless practitioners climbed up the city wall. Some experts also rushed to the sky to watch the battle. The news of Jiyu Zhong's battle spread quickly. This shocked all the major forces in the entire eastern region. Who dared to find trouble with Jiyu Fei and his disciple at this time? The forbidden area of Sky Market had just been conquered. The battle between Jiyu Fei and the old turtle was also witnessed by everyone. After the battle in the forbidden area of Sky Market, Jiyu Fei's cultivation had increased significantly. He could take that crucial step at any time. In the entire eastern region, no one dared to find trouble with Jiyu Fei at this time, regardless of whether it was the Zhao family or the Dongfang family. But now, it was a fact that Jiyu Zhong was fighting with someone outside Wanxiang City. After the experts of the major forces in the eastern region received the news, they immediately rushed to Wanxiang City. Soon, many powerful figures appeared in the vicinity of Wanxiang City. When they saw the two figures fighting fiercely in the sky, they were indescribably shocked. It's an expert from the Azure Dragon clan of the Southern Wasteland. Soon, some people recognized Azure Dragon's origin. Some people knew that when Jiyu Fei first started his career, he had gone to the Southern Wasteland and challenged a group of rising stars there. He defeated those so-called heroes of the Southern Wasteland and made them bow down to him. Azure Dragon was one of the strongest opponents that Jiyu Fei had met in the Southern Wasteland. It's really the supreme of the Southern Wasteland's younger generation, Azure Dragon. The experts of the Dongfang family also came, especially those who were hostile to Jiyu Fei and his disciple. Someone muttered to himself. Among the younger generation of the Southern Wasteland, Azure Dragon of the Azure Dragon clan was definitely a supreme existence. The Dongfang family and the Zhao family of the Desolate clan had always been paying attention to the movements of the various regions of the Tenglong continent. Everyone knew about the prestige of the Azure Dragon of the Southern Wasteland's Azure Dragon clan. It's really Azure Dragon. A young man from the Zhao family of the Desolate clan stared at the figure fighting with Jiyu Zhong. His eyes emitted an incomparably fierce light. Zhao Kuang, an outstanding disciple of the Zhao family. If it wasn't for the existence of the Zhao family's goddess, Zhao Ziru, he would have been the Zhao family's god. In the Zhao family, in every generation, there would only be one outstanding person who could become a goddess or a god. Zhao Kuang originally had a high chance of becoming the next generation of the Zhao family. Unfortunately, among the younger generation of the Zhao family, there was Zhao Ziru. Zhao Kuang and Jiyu Fei were from the same generation. Zhao Kuang had once traveled to the Southern Wasteland and met Azure Dragon. He had fought with Azure Dragon. At that time, due to some reason, he and Azure Dragon couldn't determine the winner. Being able to fight with Azure Dragon and not being defeated was enough for Zhao Kuang to be proud. At this time, when he saw Azure Dragon again, his mood was somewhat complicated. He didn't expect Azure Dragon to be so powerful that he had already left him far behind. I can't compare with Jiyu Fei, I can't compare with Azure Dragon, I'm afraid I can't even compare with Jiyu Zhong. Chapter 2839. Jiyu Fei was like an insurmountable mountain, suppressing people of the same generation to the point where they couldn't even lift their heads. Zhao Kuang was a well-known figure among the younger generation of the Zhao clan, but he knew that he couldn't compare to Jiyu Fei and Azure Dragon of the Azure Dragon clan. But now, it seemed that he couldn't even compare to Jiyu Fei's disciple, Jiyu Zhong. This made the elite of the Zhao clan feel despair, but he had to admit that Jiyu Zhong was really strong, far surpassing ordinary saint kings. He could be said to be invincible among those of the same level. Looks like I have to continue to keep a low profile, Zhao Kuang muttered to himself. He was very smart. Before he had the strength to dominate an area, he wouldn't let others know of his existence so easily. In such a chaotic world, even the forbidden areas that had existed since ancient times were in danger of being flattened. Even the ancient clans were in danger of being annihilated. Some people chose to stay hidden and not reveal themselves. Then, they peacefully lived through this chaotic world. There were actually many people like Zhao Kuang. Even some geniuses were very low profile, and no one even knew of their existence. At this moment, the heavens and earth shook. The battle between Jiyu Zhong and Azure Dragon had already reached its climax. The two experts were like two barbaric dragons, fighting with all their might. Golden blood sprinkled down from the sky, and there was also dragon blood that was crystalline like agate dripping down. Jiyu Zhong coughed out blood, and was pushed back by Azure Dragon again. His chest caved in, and his sternum was shattered. Azure Dragon directly broke his tendons and bones, and his martial body was heavily injured. But in the next moment, he instantly recovered and rushed towards Azure Dragon again. Jiyu Zhong directly punched at Azure Dragon, and a dazzling golden light bloomed from his fist. It was like a small golden sun, and an extremely powerful force erupted. His rapidly moving golden fist caused the surrounding space to collapse. Azure Dragon used the great technique of the Azure Dragon clan, the Azure Dragon True Body. A thick layer of green scales appeared on his body, and he looked like a humanoid Azure Dragon. The defense of this green scale was shocking. Even if Jiyu Zhong's fist directly hit Azure Dragon, it wouldn't cause too much damage to Azure Dragon. Boom! Jiyu Zhong's fist collided with the Azure Dragon's scaled fist. A ferocious power erupted and both of them were forced back by the other party's power. Clang! Jiyu Zhong separated his hands and golden sword silhouettes immediately appeared around him. A powerful sword aura rippled out from his body. He was Jiyu Fei's disciple, so he had naturally obtained the cultivation method of the 9 heaven punishing swords from Jiyu Fei and cultivated his own heaven punishing sword chi. 10,000 flying swords. Jiyu Zhong let out a furious roar and waved his hands. The golden sword shadows hovering in the void around him immediately turned into dazzling golden sword lights that pierced towards the Azure Dragon. Every single ray of sword light displayed great power. Wherever they passed, they would tear apart the surrounding space, leaving behind spatial cracks that were difficult to heal. Azure Dragon sneered and pounced forward. He was like a humanoid Azure Dragon. He grabbed forward with his dragon claws and shattered the golden sword light that pierced through the air. Then, he arrived in front of Jiyu Zhong. Swoosh! Azure Dragon extended his right hand and directly grabbed towards Jiyu Zhong's head. He was extremely powerful. However, Jiyu Zhong was like a humanoid heaven punishing sword. His entire body blossomed with heaven punishing sword light. In the next moment, his body shook and he turned into an extremely sharp heaven-punishing sword light that charged towards the Azure Dragon. A terrifying destructive aura that made Azure Dragon's heart palpitate spread out from the sword light. What? Azure Dragon was instantly shocked. At such a close distance, the speed of the sword light was extremely fast. It was impossible for him to avoid it. In the next moment, Azure Dragon was sent flying by the sword light that pierced through him. The sword light was indestructible. It actually pierced through the green scales that covered his body and pierced into his body. Roar! Azure Dragon roared and the power of the Azure Dragon erupted from his body. A huge shadow of a dragon emerged from his body and circled in the void. He was drawing the power of the Azure Dragon in his body to fight against the destructive sword light that pierced into his body. The sword light was actually stuck in his body and did not truly pierce through his Azure Dragon real body. However, he felt a destructive force rushing into his body. This force was destroying his life force, causing him to be both shocked and furious. Kill! Azure Dragon roared and slammed his right claw. Clang! The golden sword light that pierced into his body was directly slapped away by him. The sword light dissipated and a figure fell from the void. That person was Jiyu Zhong. Jiyu Zhong staggered and almost fell from the sky. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of golden blood. His expression became somewhat dispirited. This kind of killing technique that transformed his body into the heaven-punishing sword light was not something that he could use now. The result of forcefully using it was that he would be devoured by the sword chi and his vitality would be greatly damaged. This made him extremely depressed. At this moment, Azure Dragon was shocked and furious. He was almost pierced by the heaven-punishing sword light formed by Jiyu Zhong's man and sword unity. The heaven-punishing sword chi invaded his body and destroyed his life force. What a terrifying sword chi! Even though Azure Dragon had a physical body at the peak of the Great Saint Realm, it was difficult for him to force out the heaven-punishing sword chi in his body. This shocked him and made him very afraid. He did not expect Jiyu Zhong to have cultivated such a sword chi. Rumble! The heavens and the earth shook. Rays of divine light fell from the sky and were guided by Azure Dragon. This was the power of the great path of heaven and earth. With the power of the great path in his body, he seemed to have turned into the great path of heaven and earth. Soon, the heaven-punishing sword chi that Jiyu Zhong had inserted into Azure Dragon's body was forced out. Awesome. Let's stop here for today and continue tomorrow. As Azure Dragon spoke, he turned around and took a step forward. In an instant, he crossed 1,000 miles and disappeared into the void. He had actually left just like that. Everyone who was watching the battle was very surprised. No one expected Azure Dragon to leave just like that. Jiyu Zhong did not chase after him. He returned to Wanxiang City. He had already vaguely guessed what Azure Dragon was going to do. This guy wanted to find the flaws of his martial arts and combat skills. This Azure Dragon, Xiaoqing and the others also understood. Azure Dragon actually used Jiyu Zhong as a whetstone. This was ridiculous. However, they could not do anything about it. Unless Jiyu Fei ended his closed-door training and came out to deal with Azure Dragon. Otherwise, it would be a great humiliation for them to be blocked outside Wanxiang City by Azure Dragon and not dare to fight. After Jiyu Zhong returned to Wanxiang City, he went straight to his usual training place and sat on the futon. Tomorrow. Chapter 2840. Azure Dragon was incomparably domineering and actually blocked the entrance of Wanxiang City. On the second day, he really came to challenge Wanxiang City's entrance. A figure opened his eyes in one of the training grounds of the Wanxiang City Lord's mansion. This person was Jiyu Zhong. He sensed Azure Dragon's presence the moment he arrived. Without hesitation, Jiyu Zhong walked out of the training grounds and looked at the sky. It was early in the morning, yet Azure Dragon came so early. Azure Dragon's arrival had already alerted the saint-level experts in Wanxiang City. The heaven, earth and man saints immediately went up the city walls. Soon after, Xiaoqing and the Iron Blood Daoist also arrived. Jiyu Zhong took a step forward and instantly appeared in the sky above Wanxiang City. He looked at the city gates and saw a figure standing in the void opposite the city gates. That person was looking at him, which made Jiyu Zhong's heart shudder. He took a step forward and arrived in front of that person. Azure Dragon was still the same. Although his clothes were ordinary, they were very clean. His whole person gave off a rough aura. He carried his great dragon halberd on his shoulder. Jiyu Zhong took a glance at the great dragon halberd on Azure Dragon's shoulder. The halberd was simple and unadorned, just like an ordinary bronze halberd. No one would have thought that such an unremarkable halberd would be the Azure Dragon clan's most precious treasure that had been passed down for countless years. Let's begin. Azure Dragon looked at Jiyu Zhong and said calmly. He did not say much and immediately threw a punch at Jiyu Zhong. A powerful fist force immediately exploded from his right fist. Swoosh. Jiyu Zhong used the 8 desolation steps and displayed his extreme speed. He soared into the sky and dodged Azure Dragon's punch. Then, he charged into the mountains outside Wanxiang City. He did not want to fight near Wanxiang City. Azure Dragon naturally knew what Jiyu Zhong wanted to do. He immediately chased after him and started fighting with Jiyu Zhong in the mountains. The energy ripples from the two experts spread out and immediately alerted the nearby cultivators. Those who watched the fight yesterday did not leave. They're really fighting again. Someone cried out in alarm. That Azure Dragon was truly too powerful. He actually dared to act like this. Could it be that he wasn't afraid of Jiyu Fei coming out to deal with him? Rumble. The entire mountain range was shaking. The mountain range, which was already almost completely destroyed, finally caved in. The entire land was sinking and was completely destroyed. There were traces left behind by the great battle everywhere. It was a ghastly sight. This battle was much more intense than the previous day. The whole area was boiling, the ground was sinking, and the void was pierced. Even the saint-level experts were shocked by this scene. Several hours later, the battle ended and Jiyu Zhong returned. His body was dripping with golden essence blood and there was a bloody hole on his left shoulder. His hair was disheveled and his clothes were tattered. The left side of his body had been dyed gold by golden essence blood. Seeing Jiyu Zhong in such a miserable state, Xiaoqing and the others were shocked to the extreme. The Azure Dragon was actually able to heavily injure Ji Yuzhong. Could it be that he had used a power that surpassed the Saint Ruler realm? Ji Yuzhong didn't say anything. He immediately returned to his cultivation place and went into seclusion. When the news spread, everyone was indescribably shocked. Azure Dragon was indeed powerful and terrifying. He was actually able to heavily injure Ji Yuzhong. One should know that Ji Yuzhong was the eldest disciple of Ji Yufei. However, there were also people who saw Azure Dragon leaving with bloodstains all over his body. He was also heavily injured. However, on the second day, Azure Dragon appeared outside the Wanxiang city full of vigor. This made everyone dumbfounded. This guy was really too crazy. He had just fought with Ji Yuzhong yesterday and left with severe injuries. On the second day, he appeared again as if he had never been injured. Soon, Ji Yuzhong appeared. The two great experts didn't say anything. They immediately rushed out and left the Wanxiang city. Then, they started fighting. This time, the two great experts still fought fiercely. In the end, both of them were heavily injured. Even someone as powerful as Azure Dragon couldn't defeat Ji Yuzhong completely. Of course, Azure Dragon suppressed his cultivation to the Saint King realm before he fought with Ji Yuzhong. If he restored his cultivation to the peak of the Great Sage realm, Ji Yuzhong wouldn't be his opponent at all. Both of them were heavily injured. Such an ending was unbelievable to all the spectators. Now, even Ji Yufei's disciple could fight with Azure Dragon endlessly. If Ji Yufei were to fight personally, wouldn't Azure Dragon be in big trouble? His disciple was already so powerful. As the master, Ji Yufei was definitely even more powerful. However, after a night, Azure Dragon came again. He really treated Ji Yuzhong as a whetstone. In these few days, he had fought with Ji Yuzhong and gained a lot. However, compared to Azure Dragon, Ji Yuzhong's gains were much greater. He felt that his cultivation was about to make a breakthrough. He was about to break through the shackles. He was already in the great mastery of the Saint King realm. The continuous battles had loosened the bottleneck of his cultivation. Ji Yuzhong was looking forward to it. Warriors were natural warriors. They could improve their cultivation in battles. To a warrior, a life and death battle was definitely a shortcut to improve their cultivation and combat strength. Without hesitation, Ji Yuzhong rushed out of the Wanxiang city and fought with Azure Dragon. Powerful energy ripples spread in all directions. Ji Yuzhong fought with all his might. His blood was boiling. The blood in his body was extremely powerful. He didn't look like he was seriously injured yesterday. Preposterous. What the hell is that Azure Dragon doing? The elder of the Dongfang family could see that something was wrong. Azure Dragon was simply helping Ji Yuzhong. The continuous battles had gradually forced out Ji Yuzhong's potential. Looks like I need to help Azure Dragon. In the sky, the elder of the Dongfang family looked at Ji Yuzhong viciously. If Ji Yuzhong died in the hands of Azure Dragon, things would become very interesting. The elder of the Dongfang family immediately turned around and left. After a few hours, the battle ended. In this battle, Ji Yuzhong was still seriously injured by his opponent. He dragged his exhausted body back to the Wanxiang city and was brought into the city lord's residence by Xiaoqing. Azure Dragon was also in a difficult situation. He was beaten by Ji Yuzhong until he coughed out blood and almost injured his life force. The night passed uneventfully. On the second day, Azure Dragon came again. This time, the battle between Ji Yuzhong and Azure Dragon was as intense as before. Golden blood sprinkled from the sky and there was also a sparkling blood rain. Just as the battle between Ji Yuzhong and Qing Long reached its climax, the Dongfang clan elder, who was watching the battle from afar, made his move. A black needle silently shot out from his hand and directly shot towards the space between Ji Yuzhong's eyebrows. Chapter 2841. What? Azure Dragon was shocked to see Ji Yuzhong fall from the sky. His attack wasn't strong enough to make Ji Yuzhong lose his ability to fly and fall from the sky. At this moment, the Dongfang family elder's attack had succeeded. He immediately turned around and wanted to retreat without a sound. Bang! Like a meteorite, Ji Yuzhong fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater and causing dust to rise high into the sky. At this moment, a huge hand came down from the sky and grabbed the Dongfang family's elder who was trying to escape. Even someone as strong as the Dongfang family's elder couldn't resist at all. The Dongfang family's elder screamed in pain. His tendons and bones were broken and he was turned into a pile of meat paste. The primordial spirit of the clan elder was directly captured and then sealed. At this moment, a figure appeared in the void. This person was the extraterrestrial overlord, Ming Qiong, who hadn't shown his face yet. The sudden turn of events caused everyone to be stunned. The Dongfang family's elder thought that he was very secretive when he ambushed Ji Yuzhong. However, Ming Qiong, who was hiding in the dark, still noticed it. This azure dragon was shocked. Could it be that person who ambushed Ji Yuzhong? He had just rushed from the southern wasteland to the eastern region to challenge Ji Yufei. He hadn't seen the Dongfang family's elder before and didn't know who it was. Even if the elder of the Dongfang family was not a holy venerable, he was still in existence at the peak of the great sage realm. However, his physical body was crushed by this person. This person's cultivation was definitely above the holy venerable realm. There was no doubt about it. Ming Qiong ignored Azure Dragon and rushed down from the sky. What happened? The surrounding spectators were indescribably shocked. Someone had plotted against Ji Yuzhong, and it was done by the Dongfang family. If Ji Yuzhong were to die, it would truly pierce through the heavens. Azure Dragon didn't know the Dongfang family's elder, but it didn't mean that the others didn't know. Someone recognized the elder and immediately guessed what had happened. The people of the Dongfang family were really daring. They actually dared to plot against Ji Yufei, and they were even caught red-handed. In this way, the Dongfang family had broken the agreement with Ghost King Fengju. At this time, the Azure Dragon also rushed down from the sky. At that moment, Ming Qiong soared into the sky with Ji Yuzhong in his arms. With a single step, he returned to the sky above Wanxiang City and returned to the City Lord residence with Ji Yuzhong in his arms. Xiaoqing, Iron-Blood Daoist, and the others hurriedly rushed back to the City Lord's mansion. It's the needle of extinction. Ji Yuzhong's eyes were closed as he lay on the floor. His aura was extremely weak, and there was a red dot the size of a pinhole on his forehead. Outrageous. The Dongfang family is too despicable. Xiaoqing and the others were infuriated. The Dongfang family actually dared to plot against Ji Yuzhong. It seemed like they wanted to be exterminated. Father, Ji Yu Xiaofeng rushed in from outside and couldn't help but grieve when he saw his unconscious father. Only Xiaoqing and the others knew of Ming Qiong's existence. Even the three saints of heaven, earth, and man didn't know that such a powerful existence was secretly watching over Wanxiang City. Is this the legendary needle of extinction that specializes in destroying the Yuan spirit? The Iron-Blood Daoist looked at the red dot on Ji Yuzhong's forehead and exclaimed in shock. Even an existence more powerful than Ji Yuzhong would die after being pierced by this needle. Although Ji Yuzhong was still alive, he was on his last breath, as if he could die at any time. This made Ji Yu Xiaofeng cry in grief. Among everyone present, only Ji Yu Xiaofeng and Zhuge Liang weren't saints. Xiaoqing and the others had already checked Ji Yuzhong's injuries. Although Ji Yuzhong's soul was heavily injured, there was a power that protected his soul at a crucial moment. It was the effect of that power that caused him to fall unconscious. Ming Qiong then used a great technique to force the needle of extinction out of Ji Yuzhong's forehead. Everyone looked at it and saw that it was an inconspicuous black needle. It was hard to imagine that a black needle like this had almost taken Ji Yuzhong's life. After Ming Qiong forced out the needle of annihilation, a strange wave of power immediately spread from Ji Yuzhong's brow, enveloping his entire body. A ball of celestial light appeared on his body, and within the light, there seemed to be divine feathers faintly discernible. The divine feathers wove together and wrapped around Ji Yuzhong. Xiaoqing was extremely shocked. He could sense the aura of the immortal Tao spreading from Ji Yuzhong's body. He was both surprised and overjoyed. Ji Yuzhong definitely wouldn't die. This was the phenomenon of ascension. Ji Yuzhong was actually using one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao, the ascension secret art. The power of ascension had already wrapped around him. Your father won't die. Stop crying. Little Qing patted the shoulder of Jiyu Xiaofeng, who was lying on the ground. Uncle Master Qing, what did you say? Jiyu Xiaofeng was both surprised and overjoyed. He hastily wiped away his tears and got up from the ground. I said that your father won't die. Xiaoqing repeated. Uncle Master Qing, is that true? Jiyu Xiaofeng blinked. Would I lie to you? Little Qing said snappily. Master Qing, is it the Ascension secret art? The Ironblood Daoist suddenly asked Xiaoqing. Only the Ascension secret art could save Jiyu Zhong. Otherwise, Jiyu Zhong's only fate would be the destruction of his body and soul. That's right. Xiaoqing didn't hide anything. News of Jiyu Fei's mastery of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao had long since spread. Jiyu Zhong was his first disciple, so it was only natural that he'd received his teachings. One had to admit that the Ascension secret art was truly heaven-defying. After that, everyone left the main hall. Only Jiyu Xiaofeng stayed by his father's side. At this time, a silk-like divine light appeared on Jiyu Zhong's body. This divine light wrapped him up like a huge silkworm cocoon. Azure Dragon wanted to enter the city to visit Jiyu Zhong, but was rejected by Xiaoqing and the others. He could only leave, but he didn't leave. He continued to roam around the vicinity of Myriad Phenomenon City. The clan elder is dead. A piece of news came from the Dongfang clan, causing a commotion in the ancestral land of the Dongfang clan. The death of a clan elder was definitely a huge matter for the Dongfang clan. However, the news that came soon after shocked the entire Dongfang family. The clan elder had been ambushed by a mysterious expert who had suddenly appeared and crushed his physical body when he was plotting against Jiyu Zhong. What should we do? Chapter 2842. Someone actually plotted against Jiyu Zhong, and the person who did it was actually an elder of the Dongfang family. When the news spread, the entire eastern region and even the entire ancestral Dragon Stars cultivation world was in an uproar. Jiyu Fei was a fierce person of his generation. He dared to fight against the mysterious creature in the Forbidden Zone and even joined hands with the old tortoise to flatten the western underworld ocean. Such a fierce disciple was actually plotted against. In an instant, the entire cultivation world's forces focused their attention on the eastern region. The other members of the Dongfang family were indescribably shocked. They never expected that an elder would actually dare to make a move against Jiyu Fei's disciple at this time. The Dongfang family's ancestral land was heavily guarded. They were preparing for battle because Jiyu Fei could suddenly attack them at any time. Offending such a fierce person made all the clansmen of the Dongfang family extremely nervous. One must know that this fierce person was incomparably fierce and dared to attack the creatures in the Forbidden Zone. This matter even alarmed the Eastern Sky Tyrant King, who was in seclusion. This made him almost vomit blood. How could he have clansmen who were like pigs? In his rage, the Eastern Sky Tyrant King went into seclusion again. She actually didn't care. Many people were guessing what method Jiyu Fei would use to avenge his disciple. Everyone seemed to have smelled the scent of blood. However, to everyone's surprise, there was no activity in Wanxiang City. No one knew if Jiyu Zhong had truly died. What's going on? Some people who wanted to watch a good show were disappointed. There was no show to watch because Wanxiang City was still as calm as usual. Azure Dragon was still roaming around outside of Wanxiang City. He originally wanted to enter the city to visit Jiyu Zhong, but was rejected by Xiaoqing. Many news spread out from Wanxiang City. Some said that Jiyu Zhong was dead, but others said that Jiyu Zhong was recuperating and wouldn't recover anytime soon. All kinds of rumors had already spread throughout Wanxiang City. However, only the core members of Wanxiang City knew what happened to Jiyu Zhong. In the main hall of Wanxiang City's City Lord's mansion, a figure was wrapped in a ball of golden light. The figure was already blurry and silk-like golden light twined around the figure. A golden silkworm cocoon was rapidly forming. There was only one person standing guard in the main hall. This person was little fatty Jiyu Xiaofeng. Jiyu Zhong was struck by the extinguishing god needle. If it was an ordinary saint king that was struck by the extinguishing god needle, he would not be able to survive even if he had 10 lives. However, Jiyu Zhong was an exception. Outside the main hall, there were the heaven, earth, and human saints standing guard. Even if a saint king wanted to break into the main hall, it would definitely not be an easy task. Xiaoqing and Iron Blood Daoist would occasionally come to the main hall to check on Jiyu Zhong's condition. This time, it was a blessing in disguise for Jiyu Zhong. Once he recovered, his cultivation would probably reach a whole new level. He might even be able to reach Saint King. While Jiyu Zhong was enveloped by the winged power and turned into a golden cocoon, Jiyu Fei and Old Tortoise had no intention of coming out. They were still in seclusion. At this time, Ming Qiong handed the sealed origin spirit of the Dongfang family elder to Xiaoqing. Then, he left Wanxiang City with the Black Qilin Tiger Emperor. No one knew where this mysterious expert was going. Other than Xiaoqing and the others, no one knew that Ming Qiong and the Black Qilin Tiger Emperor had left. At this time, in the Nanman 100,000 mountain range, a golden-haired young man sat on a mountain peak. The mountain wind whistled and his golden hair danced in the wind. Swoosh! A figure suddenly appeared in the void opposite the golden-haired young man. He stood in the air and looked at the golden-haired young man fearlessly. A powerful yin aura spread out from the figure. You are Yuan Hong. It was a black-clothed middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was shrouded in black gas. If one looked closely, one could see that there were actually Dao runes shrouding the black gas around the middle-aged man. And who are you? The golden-haired young man sitting on a large rock on the mountain peak said coldly. Who I am is not important. But someone wants me to kill you. The black-clothed middle-aged man looked at the golden-haired young man and said surprisingly calmly. This golden-haired young man was Yuan Hong. He came to the human world to search for the golden-eyed ape's bloodline, but things did not go smoothly. After many investigations, Yuan Hong found that the golden-eyed ape clan had not appeared in the human world for thousands of years. This surprised him. Someone once saw a golden ape in the southern wasteland 100,000 mountain range. Therefore, Yuan Hong came to the southern wasteland and went straight into the 100,000 mountain range. However, when he entered the 100,000 mountain range, he quickly realized that he was being watched. You want to kill me? You are not qualified. Yuan Hong looked at the person opposite him and said coldly. His gaze became as sharp as a blade as he glanced at the black-clothed middle-aged man. Cut the crap. I will send you on your way now. The person said and immediately attacked. He stretched out his right hand and a ball of black light immediately rushed out of his hand, blasting towards Yuan Hong on the mountain peak. Swoosh! Yuan Hong moved and instantly disappeared. The next moment, when he reappeared, he was already above the black-clothed middle-aged man's head. Without any hesitation, Yuan Hong directly stepped on the man's head. The sound of bones breaking was heard and the man's entire head was stomped into his chest. TSK, I thought this guy was strong. It turns out that he is a piece of trash. Yuan Hong muttered to himself. Roar! Just when Yuan Hong stomped the black-clothed middle-aged man to death, an angry roar came from another place in the 100,000 mountain range, causing all the birds and beasts in the mountain to flee. Cut the crap. I will send you on your way now. The person said and directly attacked. He stretched out his right hand and a ball of black light immediately rushed out of his hand, blasting towards Yuan Hong on the mountain peak. Swoosh! Yuan Hong moved, instantly disappearing from where he was. When he reappeared, he was already above the black-clothed middle-aged man's head. Without any hesitation, Yuan Hong directly stepped on the man's head. The sound of bones breaking was heard and the man's entire head was stomped into his chest. TSK, I thought this guy was strong. It turns out that he is a piece of trash. Yuan Hong muttered to himself. Roar! Chapter 2843. Yuan Hong was proficient in the art of tracking. With a counterattack, he killed his way to the stronghold of the assassins in the mountains, and a huge battle broke out. Roar! Yuan Hong roared into the sky as a gigantic shadow of a golden ape appeared on his body. An extremely powerful force rippled out from his body. Boom! With a single punch, the valley in front of him exploded, causing dust to shoot up into the sky. The dozens of figures in the valley were instantly turned into dozens of bloody mists, dissipating into the void. Their bodies and spirits were completely destroyed. However, two figures rushed out from the valley, roaring as they charged towards Yuan Hong in the sky. A chilling killing intent that caused one's heart to palpitate permeated the entire area. Clang! A beam of sword light shot out from the body of a white-robed middle-aged man, turning into an indestructible beam of light that slashed towards Yuan Hong. Mitch! Yuan Hong sneered as he punched out with his right fist, clashing against the incoming beam of sword light. A metallic sound rang out as that extremely sharp beam of sword light was sent flying by his fist. There's an error in the information. We've been scammed. The white-robed middle-aged man roared. At this moment, another powerful being suddenly hid in the void. In the next moment, a killing sword pierced out from the void, aiming for Yuan Hong's forehead. Yuan Hong stretched out his right hand and grabbed the incoming killing sword. He then punched out with his left fist, causing the void to tremble. A black figure fell out from the void, coughing out blood as he was sent flying. His tough retreat. The black figure transmitted his voice to the white-robed middle-aged man. They felt extremely aggrieved. They were Slayer sages, people who had entered the Tao through killing. But today, they were defeated so easily and had no choice but to flee for their lives. This was the first time that they had met a powerful existence that they could not assassinate. The two Slayer sages crushed a piece of jade talisman in their hands. Instantly, they were enveloped by the divine light emitted from the jade talisman and were about to break through the void. However, at this moment, two huge hands grabbed over from afar, grabbing the two balls of divine light. Bam! Bam! With two sounds, the two huge golden hands actually crushed the two balls of divine light. The two slaughter saints didn't even have the time to let out a cry before they were reduced to a bloody mist. Even their souls couldn't escape before they were sealed up by Yuan Hong. Soon, Yuan Hong learned what he wanted to know from the two Slayer saints' soul memories. Lu Wailu Assassin Organization. Yuan Hong frowned. He did not manage to find out who had hired them to kill him from the memories of the souls of the two slaughter saints. He directly destroyed the primordial spirits of the two slaughter saints. He would never show mercy to his enemies. As long as they were his enemies, he would kill them and pull them up by the roots. Who is it? Could it be that guy? Yuan Hong stood high up in the sky, scanning his surroundings. His divine sense instantly enveloped an area of tens of thousands of miles, and a weak aura instantly disappeared from his senses. He runs really fast. Yuan Hong couldn't help being moved. The other party's cultivation wasn't weak. He was from the assassin organization, and he was also the mastermind who hired the slaughter saints to kill him. Yuan Hong had many enemies. Not long ago, he had fought with a clone of Yuan Jiyu Emperor's Yan in the heavenly realm. However, given the identity of Yuan Jiyu Heavenly Emperor, it was impossible for him to do such a thing. Yuan Jiyu shook his head. He couldn't figure it out, so he stopped thinking about it and directly left the 100,000 mountains, heading towards Dragon Emperor City in the outside world. Dragon Emperor City in the southern wilderness was an ancient city that had existed for thousands of years. Just as Yuan Hong was heading towards Dragon Emperor City, in the eastern domain, outside of Wanxiang City, Azure Dragon encountered a sudden assassination. In a mountain forest, a slaughter saint attacked and almost beheaded Azure Dragon with a single sword strike. Slaughter saints were existences that achieved their Tao through killing. They were proficient in all kinds of assassination techniques. If they missed their target, they would definitely flee thousands of miles away. However, who was Azure Dragon? He directly chased after the slaughter saint. In a valley thousands of miles away, Azure Dragon intercepted the slaughter saint. After a great battle, Azure Dragon killed the slaughter saint with his great dragon halberd. An assassin organization. Azure Dragon felt very surprised. Why was he targeted by an assassin organization? Just as the Azure Dragon killed the Slayer Saint, in an extremely hidden place on the Tinglong continent, a clear sound of something shattering rang out from a gloomy hall. Dead again. This is the third slaughter saint that has fallen. What the hell happened? An aged voice came from the palace hall. This was an ancient palace hall that made everyone feel mysterious and terrifying. This palace hall was the sacred palace of the Tower Wily assassin organization. In the sacred palace, where the life tokens were stored, 3 life tokens had already shattered. This meant that 3 slaughter saints of the Tower Wily assassin organization had fallen. Even a powerful assassin organization like the Tower Wily assassin organization would suffer a great loss after losing 3 slaughter saints in a row. Could it be that someone actually dared to trick us? The aged voice sounded. Ancestor, what should we do now? Please enlighten us. Another voice sounded. Call them back. The operation is temporarily over. The aged voice said. Yes. Someone responded. Then, the entire hall fell silent. No one said a word. The situation of the entire Tenglong continent had become more and more complicated. There was a hidden force that was targeting Jiyu Fei. If Azure Dragon died near Wanxiang City, the Azure Dragon tribe would definitely blame Azure Dragon's death on Jiyu Fei. In this way, Jiyu Fei would become a sworn enemy of the Azure Dragon tribe. Rumble, just as Jiyu Fei and Old Tortoise were cultivating in seclusion, a thunderous sound came from an ancient ruin in the Central Plains. An ancient formation platform that was buried deep in the ruins broke through the ground and floated in the void. A ray of divine light shot out from the formation platform and disappeared into the boundless starry sky. In the boundless starry sky, a divine island was heading toward the ancestral star of the soaring dragon tribe. It was an ancient path that an extremely powerful existence had set foot on. Swoosh! A ray of divine light shot out from the front and instantly disappeared into an ancient formation platform deep in the divine island. In the next moment, a ray of divine light spread from the formation platform deep in the divine island and enveloped the entire divine island. Very soon, a void passage appeared in the starry sky, and the divine island disappeared into the void passage. Rumble! The void trembled and the divine island appeared in the sky above an ancient ruin somewhere in the Central Plains. Chapter 2844. The Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, in the Central Plains, within an ancient ruin, an incomparably powerful energy fluctuation could be felt. An incomparably gigantic divine island appeared in the air above the ruins. The divine island blocked the entire sky above the ruins, casting a huge shadow over them. A young Daoist then walked out from the depths of the divine island. This is the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. The young man rushed up into the sky and stood high up in the sky. He looked around once. At this moment, there were many cultivators outside the ancient ruins. The commotion caused by the arrival of the divine island was simply too great. The cultivators in the surroundings were alarmed and naturally came over to take a look. Very weak. Could it be that even the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star has declined? The young man's divine sense instantly enveloped a radius of several tens of thousands of miles. Within this radius, he couldn't sense any powerful existences. However, the Central Plains was incomparably vast. It wasn't something a young man could imagine. In the human realm, among the 5 ancestral stars, the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star was the most transcendent. For some unknown reason, the powerful existences from the other ancestral stars all rushed here. There were even supreme existences who didn't leave after arriving here. In the current world, no one knew what the reason was exactly, but the powerful existences from the other ancestral stars were all attracted here. Very swiftly, the young man in the air above the divine island vanished. The news of the appearance of a foreign expert in the Central Plains also circulated. After that, the foreign expert set up an arena in the Central Plains, challenging all the experts from the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. That platform was a movable platform. The experts from the external realms were extremely domineering. The experts from the Central Plains naturally weren't willing to accept this. Hence, they sent someone to challenge the platform. However, to everyone's shock, the Xenorace expert had actually defeated all the experts from the Central Plains, and not a single one of them was able to withstand 3 moves from that Xenorace expert. Defeating his opponent within 3 moves, such combat prowess was simply too terrifying. The person who set up the arena was a Saint Emperor. He wanted to challenge the Saint Emperors from the Central Plains, or even the other regions. He wanted to become the strongest Saint Emperor, invincible among those at the same level. However, needless to say, that xenorace expert really did possess the potential to be invincible amongst his peers, and even some seniors that had attained the Tao during the Primeval times weren't a match for that xenorace expert. The foreign experts swept through the Central Plains. Even the saint kings of the large clans and sects were not his opponents. That outsider had even declared that he wanted to challenge all the saint emperors on the soaring dragon ancestral star. He wanted to be invincible among his peers. The sacred emperors of the great sects of the Central Plains were all very unconvinced, but they were all defeated by the young Daoist from the outer realm. The sacred emperors of the great sects and clans could not contend against him. For a time, the Central Plains was shaken. Even the experts of the other regions could not sit still and rushed to the Central Plains. There were even some great saints who suppressed their cultivation to the Saint Emperor realm to fight the young Daoist. However, even such existences were defeated. This left everyone dumbfounded and in disbelief. Extraterritorial experts. The news spread to the East region and Wanxiang City. Extraterritorial experts. Xiaoqing could not sit still when he heard the news. His cultivation happened to be at the Saint Emperor realm, so he could fight against the foreign experts. The Iron Blood Daoist's cultivation had already broken through to the Great Saint realm, but he could suppress his cultivation to fight against the same level as the foreign experts. However, Jiyu Zhong was currently in the state of ascension. They could not just leave Wanxiang City and head to the Central Plains like this. Let that guy torment himself for now, Xiaoqing said. He wanted to wait for Jiyu Zhong to successfully undergo ascension before leaving Wanxiang City. However, just because they could endure it didn't mean that others could. The primordial Zhao clan and the Dongfang clan both left their ancestral lands and headed to the Central Plains. After waiting for the news, the Azure Dragon also headed to the Central Plains. For a time, the Central Plains of the Tinglong continent attracted the attention of all the great sects and clans. In the southern wasteland, a supreme figure from the primordial Zhu clan came out of seclusion and headed to the Central Plains. The extraterritorial experts were too arrogant. They actually dared to publicly challenge the saint emperors of the soaring dragon ancestral star. Even the Buddhists of the West Earth sent their arhats. Time passed day by day. The arena in the Central Plains still stood in front of an ancient ruin. Half a year had passed, but no one could defeat the extraterritorial Saint Emperor. The Azure Dragon had yet to take action, but there were people who saw him near the arena. He was very cautious and did not take action. In the past half a year, countless Saint Emperors had been defeated by the extraterritorial experts. Even some great figures from the great sects and clans had been defeated. Because of this, some of the people who were about to make a move held themselves back. After all, only by knowing yourself and your enemy could you emerge victorious. Those who truly wanted to defeat the extraterritorial Saint Emperor naturally wanted to understand the extraterritorial Saint Emperor first. The Central Plains was like a storm. Countless saints had gathered, attracting the attention of countless people. Compared to the eastern regions, the Central Plains was much livelier. Ever since someone plotted against Jiyu Zhong in the eastern regions, the atmosphere had been very tense for a period of time. However, there was no news of Jiyu Zhong's death in Wanxiang City. This made the Dongfang family heave a sigh of relief. If Jiyu Zhong had died, Jiyu Fei would immediately declare war on the Dongfang family. If Jiyu Zhong did not die, the Dongfang family could avoid a war with Jiyu Fei at this time. In the past half a year, the eastern regions was still peaceful. This was because the demons in the Devil's Den had been seriously injured and could not recover in a short time. Jiyu Fei and the old tortoise were still in seclusion. Even they did not expect that they would be in seclusion for so long. In Jiyu Fei's inner world, Yang and Jiyu Ling were both cultivating hard. Only with a higher cultivation would they have a higher chance of surviving in this chaotic world. Jiyu Ling's cultivation had already reached a level where she could trigger a saint's heavenly tribulation at any time. However, she was still waiting because she wanted to undergo the heavenly tribulation in the heaven realm. In the past half a year, Jiyu Zhong had changed the most. In the main hall of the Wanxiang City's City Lord's mansion, a golden cocoon was lying there, absorbing the surrounding spiritual qi. In the past half a year, Jiyu Xiaofeng never left the side of the golden cocoon. He could sense that the aura emitted by the golden cocoon was growing stronger. One night, in the main hall of the city lord's mansion in Wanxiang City, the sound of something breaking was suddenly heard. Jiyu Xiaofeng, who was dozing off at the side, was immediately startled. Chapter 2845. The Wanxiang city that had been silent for over half a year finally began to boil. In the main hall of the city lord's residence, the golden silkworm cocoon split open and an arm stretched out from within. Jiyu Xiaofeng, who was standing guard at the side, was shocked to the extreme. Then, he shouted and rushed out of the main hall. Very soon, all the important figures in the city were alarmed. Xiaoqing charged into the hall as soon as possible. He was also surprised when he saw the arm that had extended out of the golden cocoon. Golden runes appeared on the arm. The runes were faintly discernible under the flesh and blood, interweaving into a Tao diagram that seemed real and illusory at the same time. Afterwards, the Ironblood Daoist, the three saints of heaven, earth, and man, Zhuge Liang, and the upper echelon of the city all arrived. All of them became extremely shocked when they saw what had happened in the hall. Catcher! The golden silkworm cocoon began to crack. Dazzling golden light seeped out of those cracks. A powerful aura surged out of the golden silkworm cocoon, causing the entire palace to shake. The presence was suffocating, especially Jiyu Xiaofeng. He suffered the most as blood oozed from the corner of his mouth and ears. Buzz! The Ironblood Daoist took out the phoenix's tribulation and a gentle presence immediately began to radiate from it. It enveloped everyone and isolated the powerful presence. At this time, Jiyu Xiaofeng was like a pile of mud, paralyzed on the ground. His clothes were soaked with sweat. He felt as if he had fought with someone for 10 days and 10 nights. He felt like he was about to collapse. It's a Saint King. This is the might of a Saint King. I never thought that Jiyu Zhong would actually benefit from his misfortune and become a Saint King. Xiaoqing said in great shock. He obviously knew that Jiyu Zhong had been struck by the needle of extinction and his soul had been heavily injured. It was difficult to say whether he could survive or not. However, not only did Jiyu Zhong survive, he had even become a Saint King. This was something that no one had ever thought of. The golden cocoon constantly collapsed. In the end, a figure wrapped in golden light appeared before everyone. It was a golden deity. That person was Jiyu Zhong. Both of his eyes were closed as he flew up from the ground. It was as if there was an invisible hand in the air that lifted him up. Ascension secret skill. Xiaoqing looked at this scene in shock. Everyone was stunned as well. Even those who didn't have high hopes for Jiyu Zhong were dumbfounded. Jiyu Zhong floated in the void. The fluctuations of the metal elemental energy on his body gradually weakened. His aura also converged and the golden light around him disappeared into his body. Soon, all the phenomena disappeared, and Jiyu Zhong opened his eyes. The Ironblood Daoist put away the Phoenix calamity. Jiyu Zhong's aura had been reduced to a level that everyone could bear. There was no need to use the Phoenix calamity to weaken Jiyu Zhong's aura. Father. When the Ironblood Taoist put away the Phoenix tribulation, Jiyu Xiaofeng immediately rushed out and jumped into Jiyu Zhong's arms. Jiyu Zhong had made a full recovery, and his cultivation had even reached Saint King. The entire Wanxiang city was thrown into an uproar. Xiaoqing even arranged a banquet for Jiyu Zhong. Something like this actually happened. During the banquet, Jiyu Zhong heard that a foreign expert had actually set up an arena in the Central Plains, challenging the entire cultivation world of the soaring dragon ancestral planet. Many people had already been defeated by the foreign experts before this. Jiyu Zhong could no longer sit still. He had just broken through to Saint King, so he could use the foreign experts as practice. He wanted to see just how powerful he had become. The next day, Jiyu Zhong directly set off for the Central Plains. At this time, an incomparably powerful energy fluctuation burst out from an arena floating high up in the sky. Two figures were moving rapidly on the arena, fighting with all their might. Someone was challenging the expert from the outer realms on the arena. The powerful pressure of a Saint King expanded, causing the surroundings to tremble. Inscriptions appeared in every corner of the ring in particular. The inscriptions drew upon the energy to nullify the Saint King's power that had expanded. On the arena, the person who was fighting against the young expert from the outer realm was also a young man. He was dressed in black and was extremely powerful. Boom! The black-robed young man punched out and collided with the young Daoist's palm. The two forces exploded, and a pitch-black spatial crack appeared in the void between the two of them. The two figures were both knocked back by the other's power. Roar! Kill! The young man roared out furiously. He separated his hands and a resplendent streak of light immediately appeared in the space before him. He then slashed toward the foreign expert. Clang! The foreign expert spat out a streak of light, which immediately collided with the incoming streak of light. The two streaks of light intertwined in the air. The foreign expert was also a master of the laws of the sword. A cold ripple of sword chi expanded from the streak of light. The surrounding temperature rapidly plummeted under the impact of the sword chi. The two figures turned into two extremely powerful heavenly swords. Every single sword light that they unleashed was enough to split the void, displaying great power. At this moment, the distant sky was densely packed with people. There were also some extremely powerful beasts that appeared in the distant sky, watching the battle. The Absolute Sword Emperor is too powerful. This foreign expert is definitely not a match for the Absolute Sword Emperor. Someone said in a low voice. The young man in black who was fighting with the foreign expert was called the Absolute Sword Emperor. He was one of the few Sword Dao Saint Emperors in the Central Plains. I don't think so. Someone said disapprovingly. The young man in black roared angrily and separated his hands. A resplendent streak of light immediately appeared in the space before him and slashed toward the foreign expert. Clang! The foreign expert spat out a streak of light, which instantly collided with the streak of light. The two streaks of light intertwined in the air. The foreign expert was also a master of the laws of the sword. A wave of cold sword chi spread out from the streak of light. Under the impact of the sword chi, the surrounding temperature dropped rapidly. The two figures turned into two extremely powerful heavenly swords. Every single sword light that they unleashed was enough to split the void, displaying great power. At this moment, the distant sky was densely packed with people. There were also some extremely powerful beasts that appeared in the distant sky, watching the battle. The Absolute Sword Emperor is too powerful. This foreign expert is definitely not a match for the Absolute Sword Emperor. Someone said in a low voice. The young man in black who was fighting with the foreign expert was called the Absolute Sword Emperor. He was one of the few Sword Dao Saint Emperors in the Central Plains. I don't think so. Chapter 2846. The extraterrestrial expert was extremely powerful. A powerful sword light rushed out from his body and directly broke through the solitary Sword Emperor's sword wave. A figure fell out of the arena, and blood sprayed in the air. What? When everyone saw the figure that fell out of the arena, they were extremely shocked. That person was the Solitary Sword Emperor. The Solitary Sword Emperor was actually defeated. Even someone as strong as the Saint Emperor of the Sword lost, someone exclaimed. One should know that the Saint Emperor of the Sword was an existence much stronger than ordinary Saint Emperors. Even such a person could not defeat the extraterrestrial expert. The Solitary Sword Emperor was covered in blood. He stabilized his body and rushed into the sky. He directly rushed into the distance and quickly disappeared into the horizon. For a moment, the entire world fell silent. Everyone looked at the figure standing in the arena, and no one dared to go forward. The soaring dragon ancestral star has indeed declined. On the arena, the extraterrestrial Daoist swept his gaze in all directions and said coldly, "Preposterous." Someone was very angry. This guy was actually so arrogant and dared to look down on the Saint Emperors of the entire soaring dragon ancestral star. However, they had to admit that this extraterrestrial expert did indeed have the potential to be invincible among his peers. "I'll fight you." At this moment, a roar came from the distance. A bolt of lightning streaked across the sky and directly landed on the arena. The person's body was covered in lightning, and when he opened and closed his eyes, there was lightning circling around. It's the Thunder Clan's expert, the Thunder Sovereign. Someone recognized the young man with lightning circling around him. Without any unnecessary words, the expert from the Thunder Clan directly made his move. He waved his right hand, and immediately, a dozen dazzling lightning bolts bombarded the extraterrestrial youth. The extraterrestrial youth opened his mouth and inhaled. A heaven-devouring force spread out from his mouth, and actually swallowed the dozen dazzling lightning bolts. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. That was the power of lightning, and the extraterrestrial actually dared to swallow it. Wasn't he too ferocious? Mph, the Thunder Sovereign sneered. 9 lightning Tao patterns appeared on his body. Each Tao pattern exuded an extremely powerful aura of the Great Path. The way of lightning was the way of destruction. The Lightning King had already cultivated the way of lightning to Saint King, so he directly attacked the foreign experts as a bolt of lightning. Buzz. Suddenly, the sound of a sword rang out from the alien expert's body. A ball of sword light emerged from his body and instantly enveloped him. Boom. The Thunder Emperor threw out a punch that landed directly on the protective sword light of the extraterrestrial expert. A powerful power of the Way of Thunder burst forth, and bolts of lightning actually penetrated through the sword screen and landed on the body of the extraterrestrial expert. The alien expert roared in anger and was sent flying. His entire body was surrounded by lightning and blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Bang! The alien expert stepped on a stone pillar at the edge of the arena and stopped his retreat. This caused him to be incomparably shocked. He had almost been blasted out of the arena by a single punch from his opponent. Sword of the 9 heavens! The alien expert bellowed, and a beam of light shot out from his body, piercing straight towards the incoming Thunder Monarch. An extremely powerful ripple of sword chi spread out in the arena. Rumble, thunder boomed and lightning wreaked havoc. The Thunder Sovereign was like an ancient lightning emperor that had descended into the mortal world. With a wave of his hands, huge bolts of lightning immediately shot out from his hands. They shot toward the streak of light that had pierced through the arena. However, the ray of sword light was extremely swift and fierce. It directly broke through the layers of lightning and arrived before the Thunder Emperor in an instant. What? The Thunder Sovereign was surprised. He hurriedly dodged to the side and the streak of light brushed past him. The cold sword chi struck him and caused his movements to pause. Right at this moment, a fist rapidly enlarged in front of his eyes. Bam! He felt a sharp pain in his left eye. He had already taken a vicious punch from the other party. The punch caused the Thunder Sovereign's vision to darken and his head to spin. Even with his tough Saint King body, he had almost fainted from the punch. Bang! In the next moment, a muffled sound of collision resounded. The Xenorace expert's knee smashed fiercely against the Thunder Emperor's chest. The sound of bones shattering rang out, and the Thunder Emperor's chest actually caved in from the violent force of the collision. Roar! The Thunder Sovereign was sent flying as he constantly coughed up blood. He was so depressed that he almost fainted. Never did he think that he would lose so miserably. A small mistake had caused all of this to happen. There was no suspense at all. Even someone as powerful as the Thunder Sovereign had lost. He was knocked out of the arena by a simple knee strike, which made everyone speechless. None of the spectators had thought that the outcome would be like this. The Thunder Sovereign had not lost to his opponent's great technique, but to a simple battle skill. The alien expert did not try to kill him. Otherwise, the Thunder Sovereign would have been slain long ago. After he was knocked out of the arena, the power of the Way of Lightning erupted and his injured body immediately healed. At this level of cultivation, the injuries of the saint body could be healed in an instant. Roar! He looked at the figure on the arena and roared at the sky unwillingly. His hair danced wildly and the entire world shook from his roar. Looks like none of the Saint Kings on the soaring dragon ancestral star is my opponent. The young alien Daoist looked at the Thunder Sovereign coldly and said indifferently. You. Hearing that, the Thunder Sovereign felt hot blood surge up his throat and he almost spat out another mouthful of blood. However, he endured it and forcefully swallowed the blood back down his throat. The Thunder Sovereign turned around and left without looking back. What an arrogant fellow. The Azure Dragon stood high in the sky and looked at the figure on the arena. He was not in a hurry to act. The opponent was very strong, but he was not undefeatable. He was a great saint. If he wanted to act, he had to seal himself and suppress his cultivation to the Saint King realm. The solitary Sword Emperor and the Thunder Sovereign had been defeated by the alien expert one after another. This outcome made all the spectators very dejected. Was there really no one who could defeat this guy? There's actually not a single decent figure on such a huge ancestral star. How sad. That was what the people on the arena said. Preposterous. Everyone became extremely furious when they heard that. However, the opponent was indeed powerful. He had been on the arena for half a year and had defeated countless Saint Kings. He had never lost a single time. With a battle record like that, he could definitely be regarded as invincible among his peers. However, the soaring dragon ancestral star was extremely huge. The 4 great regions were extremely vast, and there were some places that were rather remote. The experts in those places had not heard of the news yet. This did not mean that the outsider could really sweep through his peers and be invincible. He's here too. Chapter 2847. The Solitary Sword Emperor and the Thunder Emperor were definitely 2 of the most powerful Saint Kings in the Central Plains. They stood at the apex of Saint King and had the chance to become an exalt. However, the 2 peak Saint Kings had been defeated. They had been defeated by the foreign Saint King, and they had left regretfully. For a moment, the entire area was silent. Countless experts who were watching the battle were speechless. They had to admit that this alien expert was really powerful. He had probably already taken the step to become a venerable. Otherwise, how could he have defeated the Absolute Sword Emperor and the Thunder Emperor in succession? A few spectators in the distance retreated. They wanted to ask for help. The foreign Saint King was just too arrogant. He actually wanted to defeat all the Saint Kings on the soaring dragon ancestral planet all by himself. He was just too arrogant. No one went up to fight. No one went up to embarrass themselves even though they knew they were no match for him. The Azure Dragon had already arrived at the area near the arena. He stood high up in the sky and watched the 2 battles that had just taken place in the arena. He was in no hurry to take action. At that moment, he saw a familiar figure. He's here as well. How is this possible? Wasn't he struck by the needle of extinction? Azure Dragon was extremely shocked when he saw the person. He stared at the figure in disbelief. It was Jiyu Zhong. Azure Dragon had been paying attention to the movements in Wanxiang City for the past half a year. He learned very quickly that Jiyu Zhong had been injured by the needle of extinction. The news of the elder of the Dongfang clan trying to harm Jiyu Zhong also spread. Azure Dragon knew very well that the Needle of Extinction was a vicious artifact that specialized in destroying the soul. It was already a miracle that Jiyu Zhong was still alive after being struck by the needle. He had never thought that Jiyu Zhong would actually make a full recovery in just half a year. Moreover, he had actually broken through from Saint Ruler to Saint King. How did he do it? Azure Dragon murmured. At this moment, the figure in the distance suddenly stopped and turned around. 2 extremely sharp eyes swept towards Azure Dragon. Azure Dragon. Jiyu Zhong was surprised when he saw Azure Dragon, but he was not surprised. It would be strange if Azure Dragon did not come after hearing the news. Brother Jiyu Zhong, congratulations. Azure Dragon transmitted his voice to Jiyu Zhong before cupping his hands towards him. Jiyu Zhong only nodded at Qing Long and did not walk over. Instead, he stared at the figure standing on the arena and looking down on everyone. At this time, some of the spectators nearby pointed at the figure standing in the arena. I heard that this Saint Emperor came from the ancestral Buzhou star and is the disciple of an immortal venerable. Someone said. The disciple of an immortal venerable. No wonder he's so powerful. It was no wonder that this fellow dared to set up an arena in the Central Plains and was not afraid that those old fellows in the world of cultivation would secretly attack him. It turned out that this fellow had a big guy backing him up. Could this sacred emperor be the South Pole Celestial Venerable who lives in seclusion in the South Pole Divine Ocean on the Buzhou ancestral planet? Someone said in shock. Ever since the ancient passageway between the 5 major planetary regions of the human world was reopened, cultivators from the 5 ancestral planets were able to travel with one another. However, The ancient passageway between the 5 ancestral planets was filled with danger. The fact that this Saint Emperor was able to smoothly arrive at the soaring dragon ancestral planet was enough to show how powerful this Saint Emperor was. Are there any Saint Emperors in the soaring dragon ancestral planet? Do you dare to come out and fight me? The young man standing on the arena suddenly looked at Ji Yuzhong. Ji Yuzhong directly met the young man's gaze. Their gazes collided in the void, as if bright sparks were produced. Who is this person? The spectators followed the gaze of the Saint Emperor. Many of them did not know who Ji Yuzhong was, but it seemed like the Saint Emperor wanted to fight this fellow. It's him. Some of them recognized Ji Yuzhong and told the people around them about Ji Yuzhong's origins. His Ji Yufei's first disciple, Ji Yuzhong. Among the spectators, there were many pearls from various sects and clans. After knowing Ji Yuzhong's identity, these outstanding beauties could not help but look at him. Ji Yuzhong turned a blind eye to the gazes of these beauties. His attention was completely focused on the extraterritorial Saint Emperor on the arena. You can actually see that I'm a cultivator. Impressive. Ji Yuzhong said to the young man on the arena. He was rather surprised. One should know that he had just arrived, yet he was already targeted by the Saint Emperor on the arena. Do you dare to come up and fight me? The young man on the arena looked at Ji Yuzhong calmly and said. Everyone looked at Ji Yuzhong nervously, waiting for his reply. Humph, why wouldn't I dare? Ji Yuzhong suddenly smiled. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared on the arena and stood opposite the young man. This young man was called Zhuo Qiandao. He was a disciple of the South Pole Immortal Palace in the depths of the South Pole Divine Sea. He was also the personal disciple of the South Pole Immortal Venerable. Ever since Xian Tong died in the chaotic world, Zhuo Qiandao became the focus of the South Pole Immortal Venerable's training. The South Pole Immortal Venerable and Ji Yufei were really fated. The first divine general under the South Pole Immortal Venerable and his first disciple, Xian Tong, both died in the hands of Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei was a cultivator. The South Pole Immortal Venerable naturally had to have some understanding of the path of cultivation. As a disciple of the South Pole Immortal Venerable, Zhuo Qiandao also had a deep understanding of cultivators. That was why he could see through Ji Yuzhong's strength with just a glance. You're the disciple of Ji Yufei. Zhuo Qiandao looked at Ji Yuzhong and his tone became cold. So what if I am? Ji Yuzhong looked at Zhuo Qiandao with a faint smile. Well, since you're the disciple of Ji Yufei, then the rules of the arena will have to be changed. Zhuo Qiandao looked at Ji Yuzhong with a gaze as sharp as a blade. If you want to fight, then fight. There are no rules. Ji Yuzhong said disapprovingly. I don't kill people, but you're an exception. So the rules have to be changed. We'll fight to determine the winner and the loser. What do you think? Zhuo Qiandao said. Very well. Ji Yuzhong directly agreed. Everyone nervously looked at the two figures on the arena and listened to their conversation. They couldn't help but be startled by Zhuo Qiandao's words. To determine the winner and the loser, to determine life and death. Are they going to fight to the death? Someone said. Well, there's going to be a good show.